Oh, you know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports. When
It comes to Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
TexAgs Live.
I feel like I should be listening to the theme song from the Jeffersons. You know, we're moving on up.
We will develop men, we will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
It's a blessing to be in this position, and we're just thankful to be here. We're thankful to have the opportunity to go out there and play in front of the 12 man.
He is a guy that has gotten better and better and better. He's just got that dog in him.
It's been special. The 12th man this past week was unbelievable.
And this is a real program. It's not fake. This is a real place. And if you want to be really good at football, this is a really good place to be.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
Buchanan,
Nuño.
help me with this. Okay. Tell me if my math is correct. 3 straight pretty good Monday shows after a pretty good weekend.
Yeah.
Sounds right?
Yeah.
Got the Bucky weekend, Tennessee, right?
Right.
Right. Softball, of course, has been winning since, the 1960s, it feels like, right? You've got, and then, unfortunately, this weekend, tennis didn't win the SEC tournament, women's tennis, but they've had a fantastic season. But 3 straight weekends of baseball doing well. You had Bucky the first one, you had Tennessee, then you had South Carolina, picked up some transfers, and then this weekend, you take 2 or 3 from number 2, Arkansas.
And picked up some football guys.
Yeah.
Picking up basketball guys. A lot of things been going on. But
Pretty
yeah,
good.
that winning the series over Arkansas, that was the highlight of the weekend for me.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that nightcap on Friday.
3rd straight series win. First time in Fayetteville since 2016.
Did I hear that they lost 2 games all of last year at home, the Razorbacks?
I feel that sounds
I believe
correct.
I read that they'd lost all last year. They lost 2 games at home.
And this year coming into the series, lost one.
And so they equaled that one of all of last year and bettered that this year. You go out, you don't want to miss those Aggies right now.
First time in program history to win back-to-back road series against number 1 and number 2.
I'm loving that.
The Dragon Slayers.
I want to be the Dragon. You know what? You win that series this week and you might just become the Dragon.
I like being the chaser in this because I feel like they play better as the chaser.
Well, maybe they do, but I still want to be the Dragon. I want to be the one everybody wants to kill.
Yes. Yeah. Let's just go one series at a time.
That's right.
Because or one game at a time, right?
Well.
So, and how about Jace Laviolette? Remember, I don't know, 3 weeks ago, people were like, I don't even know if he's going to be a top 5 pick anymore. They use that voice, too.
He'd been struggling at one point.
He did, yeah.
All hitters getting a slump from time to time. Man, he's broken out of it.
Is it 14 home runs on the year, 4 home runs on the weekend?
That sounds right.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was just blasting. And big ones, too, at really key times. But, there was one guy, at least in that last game, that was every bit and maybe even a little bit more impressive than Jace Laviolette.
Who is it?
Luke Jackson.
Oh, my gosh. He's fantastic,
he
right? How about relief pitching in the wins, right?
Yeah, that's true. Sometimes this year we've kind of held our breath.
Yep.
And yet Luke Jackson took our breath away. What was it, 3.2 innings?
Well, I've got actually 3.2 innings, 2 hits, no runs, 5 strikeouts. So I've got combined in the 2 victories this weekend, Weston Moss and Luke Jackson combined for 8.2 scoreless innings.
That's a whole game.
10 strikeouts.
All right.
And just 5 hits, 1 walk.
Man. And I take, if this is an indication of what you're going to get moving forward, and that's at Arkansas, right?
Right.
With some really good hitters, you can feel even better about where the direction this team's going.
So now let's play the game.
Let's play.
Okay, the game is fun. You've got Texas coming up. It's probably a big series to some. And then you've got, LSU very soon after, right? There we go. We got the schedule right there. Sam Houston this week. You've got Texas, Lamar in between, then LSU. Take one of those 2 series.
Take them both.
Oh, yeah. I'm just playing the game.
Okay, play the game. All right.
Because you've won both the Tennessee and the Arkansas series. You have some wiggle room, right? Because You look at Arkansas has lost, 2 straight series? Tennessee has lost 2 out of their last 3 series. Like, this is the state of the SEC is you're going to take some hits, right? You're going to get bumped. Texas has now got a little bit of a lead in the SEC. So you know what that means? A&M's got to go down there and knock them down a couple of notches.
Well, here's the deal, and this is not what I want, right? But A&M's what, 8-10 now?
Yeah.
So if you can sweep Missouri, a team that's winless, you know, when they're coming up later down the road, and I know one at a time, but if you can sweep Missouri,
that's 11 wins,
and just get one win in every other series, that whole question about whether or not you're going to get into the playoff is
right now. I'd say they're in.
Oh, I would too.
Like right now, if the season ended today, in.
And 3 weeks ago, we thought it was a lost cause.
They were out. There was 2 outs. Like they would have eliminated them twice.
We gave up early.
Pardon?
We gave up early.
We didn't.
Well, I'm talking about the general fan population.
Look, baseball of all sports. Yes, absolutely. They are still not the number 1 team in the country that we envisioned, right?
No.
But had you told me that the number 1 team in the country when the season started would have taken these 2 series on the road?
The last 2 weeks,
they have been.
They are the number 1 team. That was the team, or the last 3.
3 weeks, yeah.
That we thought we would see. Just good pitching. But not great pitching, but good pitching, but just a lineup that would just bash.
But even as number 1 in the SEC, going on the road to a number 2 or 3 ranked team, especially like an Arkansas team that we went over their stats, right? You would understand if you lost the series.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
And they've won these last 2.
By the way, you notice South Carolina went to Ole Miss last week and won that series.
Yeah.
So maybe sweeping South Carolina is even more impressive than we thought.
So we will be talking baseball throughout this hour, okay?
Okay.
We'll be talking baseball throughout the show, I should say. Because as you know, Monday means an early phone call with Michael Earley at 9 o'clock.
Okay.
Okay? Bronny will be here for that.
Yeah.
10 o'clock hour.
I don't want to miss that.
Billy Liucci.
Don't want to miss that.
Yeah. 9:30, Tom Hart.
Okay. Baseball, good week.
Really good week.
Spring football's over.
Yeah? Shall we go there?
Yeah.
So
never a bad time to talk about football.
Never. So let's talk spring football.
Okay.
The way we talk baseball. Okay.
Okay.
Remember, there was a point like, hey, just slow down. Let's not read too much into anything. Too much good, too much bad. Marco Jones is not going to average 5 sacks a game.
He had as many sacks as Nick Scorton had last year.
Right. So Marco Jones isn't going to do that.
No.
But he's off to a great start.
He is.
Okay. The offense, I'm not going to read too much into the offense, not scoring very much. You got half your starting offensive line not even playing.
Not more than half.
Right? So, and you take away Marcel's ability to juke people and extra, that's going to neutralize some of his numbers. So I'm not going to overreact to anything. It's a spring game. I got to see some new talent. And for me, the spring game was about seeing exactly what I just said, the new guys.
The one thing that I think I could come away from that and feeling really good about, or more optimistic, is the receiving. I think we saw that Mario Craver and Casey Concepcion are as good as they're supposed to be.
Yep.
Because they had starting guys cover them. Now you can come back and say, yeah, but A&M couldn't cover anybody last year. Okay, that's a concern. But you had some guys go out against starting SEC defensive backs and do well.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
And
everything else just kind of, you never know, it's just kind of floated away.
Why don't we do this?
Paper.
Why don't we hear from Coach Elko?
Let's do it.
We're going to hear from him a couple different times. But first off, just on spring game being over, let's listen to Coach Elko.
We are now 2-0 in the spring games that I've been part of, and we're excited this summer. Thought we had a good spring. I thought we got better. I thought we improved in a lot of areas. Still a lot of work to do between now and the start of the season, but that's us and every team in the country, and so important now to kind of heal the body, rest the body, get back here for summer training, and really put in a tremendous shift this summer as we head into fall camp.
So you've got how many months, right? So we're in
4 months.
4 months, right?
Before the season starts.
So you've got time to put a significant dent in some of the areas that individual players are lacking or need to get better at. You have significant time, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So that's now the focus. The focus is, all right, Marcel, how's your throwing going? offensive line? Are we healthy? Are we gelling? All these things we have 4 months, because I'm going to put myself in the collective group.
Well, you can go work out with them.
I wouldn't mind. It'd be a little embarrassing for me, but it's like when I had Ryan O'Brien here the other day, I was like, I'm not strong. I'm strong against AM radio people, not against real people. Anyway, but yeah, they got time. They got time. I'm not going to overreact one way or another. I like seeing our new talent, and I like the direction it feels like they're going.
Yeah, I think we're all pumping the brakes because, you never know what you see from the spring. I did see a couple of guys besides the receivers kind of jump out, and I said, okay, it's only a spring game, but this Jernigan kid at linebacker, are we seeing the guy take a huge step forward?
Hopefully.
The Burkhardt, I don't know. I'm going to struggle.
Nate Burkhardt.
And I'm watching him and I'm thinking, wait a minute.
He's not just a blocker?
He's not. This guy, he almost made a circus catch in double coverage. He had the catch, and then when he hit the ground in the end zone, it jarred it out. But they got something there.
Yep.
Some of the defensive linemen, of course, they were going against all backup offense.
Landon Rink?
Landon Rink.
He's a dude.
He is. And the kid from, I struggle with the name. Number 11, he's from Iowa State. Onidim.
Tyler Onidim. Now you messed me up.
But
Onidim.
Again, I got to take it in, in stride and understand that the grain of salt who's out there, but look good.
Well, let's go back to Marco Jones.
Okay.
Here, 5 sacks, 6 tackles for loss, and a pass deflection. Does that sound like a pretty...
It was almost an interception.
Yeah. Does that sound like a good game?
Well, he would be the spring All-American for that game. Yeah,
he would. Let's see. I think Coach Oko might say, it was good, but let's pump the brakes a little bit. Here's Coach Oko.
I think Marco Jones has a really bright future here. I think he's extremely athletic. I think he's got tremendous ability to rush the passer. I don't know if Aggie should expect him to have 5 sacks a game this fall. That might be a little bit of a high expectation. But he does. He's had a really good spring. He's gotten better every single practice. And obviously a lot of it is matchups, right? And so you got to take some of it with a grain of salt. But he's going to be a really, really good football player for us.
So let's see if Marco Jones can get a little bit heavier and a little stronger over the next 4 months. And maybe that's a guy that maybe he could be, I hate to bring up Texas guys, but maybe he could be for A&M what is it Colin Simmons was for Texas last year, the freshman from Duncanville, played so well for him.
Did you see where Sark today, or not today, this weekend I think it was, maybe it was in the middle of the week, said that one area for concern for them is tight end. And who was their potential tight end? I wonder what they could do
with Nightblack if they had him,
Huh. We didn't get to see a lot of him this weekend, but
he caught one pass.
All the reports about him at practice and this spring have been fantastic.
I think you can come out of spring and understanding again, but feel like you're going to get more production from tight end. And that's not a shot at Trey Watson last year.
Right. I thought Trey Watson was really good last year.
Fine. But I think you can
Theo should be better.
Yeah, I think you can expect more production from the tight end.
Yeah.
Hey, I would say this though, Coach. I know you come to me for advice all the time, but on 4th and 1, go double tight. So, it makes it less likely for a corner to come in and make a tackle in the backfield. It's just.
I'm sure he's listening right now. He's going to write that down in his little diary. All right. By the way, this is TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It is the Go Hour presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. Today is Monday, April 21st, 2025. Muster, by the way. So, and I'll have some information on muster later, but the Association of Former Students has their roll call going on right now. We'll get you that info here shortly. But if you want to be a part of the conversation this morning, there's multiple ways you can do it. You can call us, you can text us. If you call us, we'll pick it up on the Bubby's Catering Hotline. And currently, we're sitting in a cool area.
Yeah, the cool zone.
Yeah.
You know what cool zone?
The holistic planning.
The holistic planning cool zone. We can do all kinds of cool things there, or they'll do cool things for you.
They'll do it for you, and you can learn from them, right?
Yeah, they're going to help you make some money, so you can do even more cool things. And you can get some. They'll help you with your investments. They'll help you with your estate planning. They'll help you with your taxes, so you can keep more of that money. And part of all that old process is they give you this. They'll help you, if you so desire, invest in pro sports.
Investinprosports.com. Let's go behind the glass. We go left to right. We say hi to our good friend, Nick Savage. Nick, good morning, buddy.
Howdy, good morning, y'all.
How are you?
I'm good. Just a couple of quick baseball thoughts for you. A guy that kind of had a sneaky, really good series, Caden Kent, went 6 for 12, went 2 for 4 in every game, drove in a run in every game, only had one extra base hit, so that's why I think that performance is gonna go under the radar a little bit. But
played really well with his glove again.
Clutch Kent.
He's a good player, man.
He is a good player.
Absolutely. And just a quick RPI note on A&M baseball.
Tell me more.
Going into the Tennessee series, they were 107th in the country in RPI. After the win on Saturday and the series win, they've moved all the way up to 38th in the country in a couple weeks. So pretty crazy turnaround.
Man, that's like 79 points or something.
That's pretty good, buddy.
Yeah.
I mean, we've talked about them. If they get in as a 3, I don't know anything about this, by the way. Brody will tell me to shut up when I bring it up, but can they be a 2 seed potentially?
Keep winning.
Why not?
What if you won every series from here on out? And I know I slow down. Okay, I get it. Just focus on the next one. But what if you did? I mean, those are some highly ranked teams you're coming up against.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1, Texas. LSU's not. They're a top 5 or top 10. Georgia's up there.
Now look, nothing is guaranteed. Even the tournament's not guaranteed.
But if you can go out and beat Tennessee, win a series in Knoxville, and win a series in Fayetteville, nothing is impossible.
No, and you still got number 1 Texas this upcoming weekend. I'm sure we will ramp up our coverage for that game. And still on the road. It's on the road, right, at Georgia?
I think so.
But
I don't know that for a fact.
And LSU is at home. So you think you're done with the gauntlet? No, you're just going through it. You're in the eye of the storm, buddy.
Yep.
No.
But hey, that's what you signed up for. But you know what? All those teams, they have to play Texas A&M.
Yeah, they do.
A hot Texas A&M.
Hey,
Torrid.
Did you
Caliente.
know? Caliente.
See?
Say it like that.
Caliente.
Can you tell me where Aggies gather?
What? At the Angry Elephant.
That's right. Yeah. And Carter Adams is, hanging there right now. Let's go there.
South Lake Carter.
Yep. Angry Elephant News and Social Center. We've got Cartier in the house. What's up, Carter?
Can't complain. How are y'all?
I'm well, thank you, buddy.
Good. Well, we're going to start off with some softball. Texas A&M, number 1 Texas A&M, took 2 of 3 in Columbia, clinching its 5th consecutive SEC series
Wait,
win.
you got to be more specific than Columbia.
Columbia.
Because they got one in South Carolina, and they got one in, I know which one.
Can you enlighten?
Well,
there's 2 Columbias in the SEC. And we're not talking about Bogota.
So I'm just saying, you said
he has no idea
they
what
had a good day.
I'm waiting for the answer.
They said they had a good day in Columbia. You're going to have to tell us which Columbia.
Columbia, Missouri.
There it is.
Because there's another.
South Carolina.
Yeah. Okay. That's what
I just want to. Okay, we're good.
Okay. For a moment, you gave us a look
he
like
was probably going to get to it, but you
gave us a look
in me.
You gave us a look like you're on a game show, and you're like, I don't know the answer to this. Here goes $1 million. It's gone.
I don't know what that happens to me sometimes. But hey, you know what? We'll rebound. Just like the A&M baseball team, we'll rebound. So series results. Thursday doubleheader sweep. A&M picked back-to-back wins up to start the series, then dropped its road game on the season 9-1. 5-inning run rule loss. The Aggies left 10 runners on base and allowed 4 home runs. Couple offensive and defensive highlights for the series. Kennedy Powell led off Friday's game with a single and stole her team-leading 17th base on the year. Now had 23 consecutive stolen bases dating back to 2024. KK Demet tallied 2 doubles in the series finale.
Of course she did.
Yeah, you were going there.
Giving her 12 on the season. That's a team lead again. A&M has 81 doubles on the season, matching their 2010 team for the 5th most in program history. Mac Barbara drove in the lone run on Friday with an RBI single in the 3rd, and Emily Levitt took her first loss of the season on Friday after giving up 4 runs in 1 inning of work. Next up, the Aggies will return home to Davis Diamond on Tuesday at 5 p.m. to face Louisiana in a nationally televised matchup on SEC Network. So, good showing in Columbus, Missouri.
Columbia.
South Carolina. Columbia.
Columbus is
I'm
Ohio.
over 2. I'm not good. This is not going good right now.
This is great. No, for us, this is fantastic.
Just keep watching me stumble. But
you have anything else for us?
Yeah, so I've got some track and field if you want me to go into that. Deborah Chirono broke the women's 1,500 school record, previously held by a Thing Mo, with a time of 4:15.99.
You beat that? Wow.
Yeah.
Goodness gracious.
A&M won 12 of 22 events, recording 5 all-time program marks and set 7 personal bests. That's a big deal. I saw that and I was like, wow. Lucas Santorum won the men's 1,500 meter to keep it going with a long distance with a PR of 3 minutes 38 seconds. That's number 2 of all time. Cooper Cothra clocked in a 3:39.34, finishing 4th. Some hurdles. Jasmine Harmon took the 100-meter hurdles in 13.22. Jaya Covington placed second with 13.23. Jaqueline Scott won the men's hurdles in 13.30. This is the fourth fastest in the NCAA this year. In the 100-meter dash, I want to highlight in the main event, freshman dual athlete Ernest Campbell won the 100-meter dash.
Super fast guy.
He's fast.
Very fast.
They're going fast down in Refugio.
Yep, remnants of A-Chain for sure. He won the time with 10.57 seconds. It was more the same for the women as Cameron Dixon won the women's event in 11.27 seconds, while Jasmine Montgomery finished second with 11.33. Lastly, field event shout out to Sofia Yakuzhna, friend of the show, won the long jump at 6.11 meters. The only athlete to clear the 6 meter on both of her attempts. Twice she cleared 6 meters. I couldn't do that, so shout out to her. And then 400-meter dominance, Hassam Eddin Hatib and Cutler Zamzow went 1 and 2 with times of 46.71 and 47.14, respectively. So
elite pronunciations today. Elite.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was practicing those and not necessarily
except for state capitals.
Yeah, you always got to improve on something.
Can you explain, please? I don't understand. Thank you, Carter. Appreciate it. All right, we should probably take him to 1775, and you have to pick his meal though.
Or learn how to pronounce it.
Yeah. Brisket. Brisket.
Yeah. 1775, man. You know what? Yeah. When he learns his capitals and all the SEC cities,
right,
then he will have earned.
New York, capital, go.
Albany.
All right, he's
okay.
Good.
But it's not the SEC.
Oh, yeah.
Then he will have earned a trip to 1775 because it's so good. I mean, anybody can go, but you really need to earn it.
Georgia, go.
That's a great question. I gotta research this. I
you
just
don't
gotta
know the capital of Georgia.
Okay, let's move on.
Okay, see, when he knows it's Atlanta, then maybe we'll start. No, it's not Atlanta.
I'll just mess with you.
Maybe when we start.
I'm just digging my hole deeper.
But when you learn everything, you should be rewarded. And I can think of no better reward on Thursday, Friday, or Saturday.
I hear him typing right now. State capitals, just in case I throw another one at him. I heard it. Please, state capitals, Google. Please, hurry. Before they get me again. Texas, go.
Austin.
All right.
Okay, got that one. Okay, he's one for whatever. 1775, get that succulent brisket. I swear by it, get that jalapeno cheese, the jalapeno cheese sausage.
Yeah, tell me more.
Yeah, that
actually
turkey.
We're running out of time. But
okay,
you tell me one more though.
Okay, the
turkey,
pork, the pork ribs, and the queso mac and cheese.
Should I tell them the website?
Yeah, tell them.
1775 TXBBQ. I'm like Carter. 1775txbbq.com or call them up. 979-492-6241. It's
good.
Succulent.
Yeah, it's that too. I'd go all the way from Columbia, both of them.
This is 13 live spots in one. We'll see you next time. And we're back. It is TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We're in the Rollo Insurance Studios to go hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. Let's talk a little more football, shall we, Obi?
Yeah, absolutely.
Did Carter, anybody on the YouTube page have some thoughts on what they saw from the spring game?
We had a user on the YouTube say that he thinks that Marcel Reed's arm angle and throwing base still needs a little bit of improvement, but that's the one that I saw that stuck out to me.
There's some throws he missed. There's some nice plays he had as well.
He threaded the needle a couple times.
Yeah.
One time he threw a really nice pass. One time they threw a really nice pass to Casey Concepcion.
The fingertip catch?
No, that was a great catch by Concepcion. I'm talking about one that Concepcion actually dropped.
Yeah.
He was going backwards trying to run. It was about to be a big play, and had Casey held on to that one, that's he finishes with a 200-yard game. I don't know what to make of a spring game. Even though he couldn't get hit, the rush was consistently in his face, as it was with a lot of the quarterbacks. I still would like to see him moving around more.
Let me ask you this question.
Maybe we'll see that because, A&M's not going to show a whole lot in that game. In fact, Elko talked about that, how, hey, we weren't going at the pace we want to and calling our signals because we don't know who's watching.
Right. I fully expect for Marcel to take a big step this year. Okay. But let's say he doesn't take a step at all.
Okay.
Did he not play well enough for this team to win 10 games last year when he played?
Yes, I think he did.
Okay. For instance, the USC game, and
he definitely.
Right?
He definitely played well enough.
Billy brought this up. The Auburn game, didn't he put you in position at the end of the game? I mean,
you had the lead.
With a minute 30 left?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's 2 wins extra right there that A&M could have had because Marcel played. Now let me add a third element. I don't know if they win the Notre Dame game with Marcel, but I think they would have had a better chance. And I didn't think it at the time. At the time, I was like, okay, it was just. But we saw what happened at the quarterback spot last year.
Right.
And you were asking for it, I believe, in the press box. Like, we might have to give this kid a look.
Yeah, when I understand why coaches are hesitant to remove a starting quarterback. Yep. You don't want to get in there mentally, and then the reason there's a starter if they've looked better, and you think, okay, is the next series the one where they put it together? But Connor had the worst game of his life against Notre Dame, and if he's average in that game, you win.
You win that game. So my point is, last year, even with losing Le'Veon Moss, I feel like Marcel played well enough to win and get you to the SEC championship game.
Yes.
Without any improvement, that level of Marcel puts you in positions to win 10 games. Okay? You did not. I recognize that. But I'm not putting the knot on him. He needs to improve.
Without a doubt.
There's some throws we need to see him make, right? But if he doesn't take a huge step, that does not mean that this team does not take a huge step in wins.
That's true. I think he does take a significant step. I don't know how huge it's going to be, but I think he's going to be better than he was last year.
Right.
You know what? Here's one reason, though. He has more experience, let me say if I can say this exactly right, from the previous year, meaning he's played more, gotten more starts the previous year, so coming into this year, than any A&M quarterback since Kellen Mond had more experience in his last year, before his, because think about it. Back in 21, Haynes King, no starting experience.
Yep.
In 22, he had 2 games of starting experience.
Right.
In 23, Connor had 4 games of starting experience, before. And then in 24, Connor started with just 4.
I think at that point he had 8. Am I right about 8 games?
In his career,
right?
Which is what Marcel had last year.
Right.
And then you throw in the games that he didn't start but played. So I would say, you got the more experienced quarterback you've ever had, making with a chance to get better because of that.
And a couple of things about him, his moxie, right? Like to be thrown into some of the positions as a young quarterback that he was, to me speaks a lot about who he is. The Oklahoma State was The bowl game, yes, the bowl game. Okay.
USC.
No.
Oh, before.
Yeah. Okay.
Oklahoma
I got
State
you.
in the Texas Bowl.
Right when he came in the Texas Bowl and Jalen Henderson, and he played lights out for a guy that did not. I don't think he expected
Wasn't
to play.
supposed to play.
Right. The Florida game when he came in, right, which we found out he was starting a couple of minutes before, maybe an hour or two before, but it was trending in that direction. How he played in that environment. The LSU game at half, coming in like, hey, we can't get anything going offensively.
Halftime.
Right. It was the second series of the second half. Right. Couldn't get anything going. So the fact that he is thrown into these positions, to me, says a lot about him. That the football part of it, if he can just correct some of the throwing, I think we got ourselves a guy.
Get a little bit better throwing and a little bit better on decision making. Sometimes say, okay, I'm just going to tuck it and run instead of throwing that pass that might get intercepted. Thinking South Carolina, thinking USC.
And let me ask you this.
But all quarterbacks throw interceptions.
What was a big question we had last year with our wide receivers? It was getting separation. Just limited spring sample size. I don't think Mario Craver's going to have a problem getting separation. I don't think he will.
Well, he looked exciting yesterday.
I don't think Casey Concepcion is going to have problems getting open.
No, it's hard to cover him.
So, yeah, I'm rosy, maroon colored goggles today. That's what I'm supposed to do. Every fan base in the country, in every sport, typically, looks at the offseason as reasons why we can. And there's also reasons why we can't. Mm-hmm. And we've touched on some of the can'ts.
Yeah, they're usually on the defensive side.
Last year, if that defense tackles, they're also a 10-win team.
Yeah.
Done.
Yeah. And maybe you got some guys in who are better tacklers. Again, man, I'm assuming your linebackers are going to be Torrin York and Scooby Williams.
Yeah.
But Jernigan, I'm going, wait. What is this guy about?
I saw his dad tweeting this weekend.
I bet he was.
Yeah.
I bet he's a proud dad.
Let's hit a break. I think we just keep going football.
You can never go wrong talking A&M football.
Let's do that on the other side. Right now, we're talking about Bird Dog, the Hunters Connection. That's where hunters and landowners thrive. If you're looking for premium hunting access, they're the ones to take care of you. They're an Airbnb for the hunting community. They hook up the ranches with getting hunters on their land. And hunters, you go to their website, you're going to find out all these partner ranches that they have on there. And you can go find an awesome hunting experience for your friends where they take care of all the logistics and beyond that. Landowners are expanding their services to help you maximize your ranch profitability, increase revenue, and also expert tax benefits, which some of their ranch owners are getting an extra $100 to $500 of additional revenue per acre. Legacy planning to preserve your ranch for generations to come. From the first-time hunters to the seasoned outdoorsmen, Bird Dog is committed to preserving that hunting tradition while optimizing that land value. Check out the website, birddogit.com. That is birddogit.com. Check it. And we're back. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance, Studio Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. Ag Engineering 12 says on the TexAgs page, things I have learned over time, never try to take too much out of a spring game. They can be very misleading due to all kind of random factors, but I still do enjoy them during the long off season.
All that's true.
Yep.
Like I was saying, the one area that I can come away and go, okay, I like what I saw is again the receivers, because they're actually playing.
Yeah.
The DB's actually at a disadvantage there because the quarterback knows he's not going to get hit, so he's never rushed.
Right.
But I think if you're a receiver and you go out and you're going one against one in some cases and you make plays and you go, okay, maybe you got something there.
Yeah, maybe. And by the way, am I doing the math right? Are we basically exactly at the midway point of the offseason?
I haven't thought about it. I mean,
I felt like we were closer, and I'm like, oh wait, we still got 4 months, like you said earlier.
Yeah, but that's not long. 4 months.
But we just did it.
By.
130 days until kickoff, to be exact.
Well, has it been 4 months since the season ended?
December 29th-ish, right?
Was that late?
I think it was late.
Okay, I thought it was earlier than that. But what do I know? I can't remember what happened last week.
I think I left on Christmas Day.
Okay.
It was Christmas Day when we left for Vegas. So yeah.
January, February, March, April. Yeah.
But it's midway point.
Yeah, I think so. Gosh, good
I was
job.
closer.
Good job.
Well, thank you. It's math, And
you know, and 25% of that will be what's left will be August camp.
Right, and then vacation.
Yeah, I need some vacation. I may have
an occasion, a daycation.
I have an occasion for a vacation. I may take some next month.
As you should.
I need it.
As you should. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Carter, I know we had some folks chiming in on wide receiver play.
Yep, so Frank Mason on YouTube says, David Nuño.
Hey, Frank.
Don't sleep on Isaiah Williams this season. He's going to be a solid wide receiver 4 for Marcel and this offense.
Well, I
good.
I think he had the best play of the offensively. Okay. Remember that one in the end zone where he kind of jumps? It was like a 19-yard touchdown. He just skies in the air and he takes it from the defender and brings it down. Yeah. Why does it look like this one?
Yeah.
Coming up
It's like Nuño going after some broccoli.
That's your joke, isn't it? It's your joke.
Is it really a joke? Because I've never seen anyone order broccoli with their wings.
I was trying to balance it out.
I mean, I've seen them get celery, but I've never seen broccoli with
wings. More
recently,
you've seen me eat like a machine than you've seen me eat the broccoli.
Because was that 1775, though?
The machine. Anyway, do you know who Sebastian Maniscalco is?
Maniscalco?
Never mind.
I know who Sebastian Janikowski.
Yeah, he was a good friend of yours.
He was a good kicker for the Raiders.
Carter, anything else?
Yeah, so speaking of wide receiver play, Ag Engineer 12, again, on the TexAgs forum says, one thing he will say, Casey Craver and Isaiah Williams, like we just talked about, all seem to have some juice to them. You can't teach speed.
True, and that's why, A&M went out to get faster, and they've gotten faster.
Look, I don't know how much time is left in the portal. I think it opened Wednesday, right? So there's not that much time for people to go in. I haven't heard a lot of names buzzing around A&M because I don't think if you look at what they've already added, they've added some pretty nice, since Mike Elko's been here, the pieces they've added seem to really, really fit.
Yeah, and I'm really excited to see the kid from Utah when he gets here. Yep. The high school kid, this 5-star guy, got a knee issue but that he's overcoming, but he's a big kid, Jerome Miles.
Yep.
He can really go. So, and he's that big receiver too.
Yeah. That's an area that if a big receiver became available, I think they would look at that. Mm-hmm. Maybe linebacker, but the linebackers sure looked good this past weekend.
They did. They really did. I was pleased.
Yeah. All right, let's go back to Carter. One more. Give us one more comment, Carter, football-wise.
So Barry on the YouTube chat.
Hi, Barry.
He's went more quarterback. Like he went to the Maroon and White game on Saturday, and he liked Jacob Zeno, Miles O'Neill, and Paxton Land, just to name a few.
I thought Paxton Land.
Yeah.
I was like, who is this guy?
Ken?
And he was pretty good.
Yeah. I want to see more from Zeno. Zeno's skill set I'm intrigued by. I want to see more. And Miles O'Neill I thought looked really, really good.
Yeah, all that.
Yeah. All right, we'll hit a break.
But you know what? Once the season starts, we're going to see Marcel Reed.
Oh, yeah. And look, it'd be nice, OB, to not have to worry about a quarterback, just to feel look, I know people get hurt in the SEC, but not the way A&M has been hit, right?
For years.
Yeah.
Haven't had a quarterback start and finish the season since MON in 2020.
That's right. Every year you've gone through 2 or 3. Last year, I don't know if injury would have been what I would have. I mean, I don't think Connor was necessarily that healthy, but I don't think injury is why he lost his job. He just
but maybe he didn't play well because
of injury. Hurt. Yeah. So muster's going on today. The Association of Former Students right now is having their worldwide muster roll call. It's at the Clayton W. Williams Jr. Alumni Center. They're going through all the names that have passed away through the previous muster year, which began early this morning at 6:51. They have a group of volunteers reading and saying here for every name on the annual roll call. You can check it out live as we speak at tx.ag/muster live. Remember, they have the flag raising ceremony with the Student Muster Committee, Reflections Day, Muster Barbecue. That begins at 11 a.m. at Kyle Field. And you're going to have the class of 75 there, free C&J barbecue and raising canes for students. They'll have yell leaders there. And then the campus muster begins at 7 o'clock at Reed Arena. You can watch that also on that same live stream channel, tx.ag/muster live. If you want more information on muster, go to muster.tamu.edu or follow them on social at Aggie Muster. It's the Association of Former Students.
Let's talk a little Snaps clothing. David Nuño here, and I love wearing Snaps clothing everywhere. I've got the flannel on right now. You've seen me in the Tailgater collection with the A&M gear. It is fantastic. If you see me around town with my sons, Christian and Cruz, they've got a bunch of Snaps gear. When they have big games for Consol, they wear nice clothes, so they wear their Snap stuff. And I'm telling you, with baseball season here, let's all kind of go looking stylish and fit to the games there at Olson wearing the Snaps clothing. As a reminder, they are the only official licensed Texas A&M Pearl Snaps maker out there. Their Tailgater collection is built for game day with breathable, moisture-wicking fabrics to keep you comfortable while you rep your Aggies in style. Now, whether you're watching the game from home or maybe you're in attendance, you're tailgating, whatever it may be, you got to make sure you head to snapsclothing.com to see everything they have to offer. It is fashionable, it is awesome, and you're going to love it.
And we're back. TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Kind of looking through my notes throughout the game. One guy, I don't know if we spent a lot of time on this hour, was Ashton Bethel-Roman. We've talked about some of the other ones. He had another
guy, another receiver that looked good. I came away feeling like I'm not going to say that the A&M receiving corps is going to be the best in the SEC. That might be Auburn, right?
Yeah,
might be.
Significantly improved.
But I came away thinking, I think they're going to be better. I feel confident. They had Noah stayed, I think I could go in without a doubt, say how significantly better. But I still think they're going to be better. I really like.
They're going to be different. They're going to be faster.
Faster.
Yeah.
And that's what you need more than anything, I think, at the receiver position. You need a guy. Maybe they're finally going to have somebody who can take the top off the defense, as they say.
By the way, and that stretch, I think that was Marcel's best stretch of the game, where he was hitting Ashton Bethel-Roman, and they were kind of picking on Des Ricks, and then Des Ricks had to bounce back a couple of drives.
Yeah, and he needed to.
Yeah.
Because the Aggies need somebody to surface and be a reliable corner opposite Will Lee.
Yeah. And the freshman running backs, Morrow, Tiger, I was impressed with both of them.
Yeah. I think, but I don't know how much either of those guys are going to play this year, but I think those guys look like they could be really good in the future.
Look, A&M is very blessed in the backfield. Once Le'Veon comes back with Ruben, with Amari, EJ had a couple of plays that I liked a lot. With the freshman running backs, that is a good group.
Yeah, I'm not saying again that A&M is going to the best running back situation in the country, but you're not going to find many in the country that are in a better situation than A&M is. Because let's understand, Le'Veon Moss is an all SEC running back.
He would have been.
He was all SEC.
Yeah, but he would have been 1A, 1B running backs in last year.
He's going to, if he doesn't get hurt, he and the kid Sampson at Tennessee are all SEC first teamers.
Right. Yeah. So the backfield, and then look, I don't have a lot of questions for the first time since I've been here on the offensive line.
Right. The offensive line, I believe, I'm going to be writing about this later today. I believe the offensive line, first of all, it should be your best offensive line since the 2020 offensive line. It should be. And we're going to, everybody knows the reasons why, but we talk about the guys that are coming back, but you also got to understand, it's also going to be their second year under their offensive line coach.
Mm-hmm.
When in 2020, if I'm not mistaken, that was that offensive line's second year under their offensive line coach at that time.
So to me, health for all teams, right? But year 2 of that offensive line coach and Coach Cushing, and also year 2 of the Elko way.
Right, all those things.
Yeah.
And look, you got some guys that proved themselves last year. If I'm not mistaken, A&M in the SEC was second in the SEC in rushing offense. You do that with an offensive line. They were 4th in the SEC with sacks allowed. You do that with a good offensive line.
A couple of shout-outs before we end this Go Hour presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations that I didn't mention on this hour, but I wrote down notes during the game. TJ Searcy. He had a couple very nice plays. I thought TJ Searcy looked really, really good.
He did. Here's the problem, though, and this is not a knock on TJ Searcy. He may be great. I'm not saying he won't be. I'm just saying when you have a lot of people getting sacks, then you say, okay.
Why?
How? Yeah, why?
And here's the name that I didn't expect to bring up on the show. Had you told me I was going to do this on Friday, Aiden Herrera. You remember that hit he put on Ryder? I think it was on Johnny Ryder, not Tiger.
Yeah, just knocked him flat.
Yeah, that was a hit.
Yeah, it was. I don't know what else he can do, but he can certainly lay the wood.
He can lay the wood. Julian Humphrey had a key pass breakup on a third.
Yes, he did.
Yeah, I'm super excited about his potential in this defensive backfield. And Will Lee looked good.
Of course.
Yeah. You never worry about Will Lee, right?
No, he's the blanket.
He is the blanket, yeah. OB was...
You know what? They got guys that can kick the ball a long way, too, and they got a bunch of them.
I don't do... Look, sorry, special teamers. I don't spend a lot of time on special teams, but I was intrigued with the punting. I was intrigued with the field goal kicking. It was a nice day.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Zirkle with a 52-yard field goal?
Yeah.
Was he the one with the 52-yard?
I feel like he had...
He had 2 of them.
Yeah, somebody had 2.
And then other kid that, not Bond, but the other kid had a nice
It was a good group. Good group. All
Liam
right.
somebody.
Obi, thank you. You know who we have coming up next, right?
You have Michael Earley and Ryan Broniger.
That is right. We're going to talk a little baseball for a big portion of the 9 o'clock hour. Then, of course, 10 o'clock hour, Billy Liucci will be in studio. We'll talk spring game with Luch. I'm sure there'll be some basketball topics to get into. And, of course, Aggie baseball. You're listening to TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. The Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations, is now over for the day. And we're back here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, coming off an impressive series win over number 2 Arkansas in Fayetteville for the first time since 2016. It's been a remarkable turnaround when we're talking about Aggie baseball, winning 9 out of their last 10 games. Let's talk about that right now here on TexAgs Live. Ryan Broniger is with us. I'm David Nuño. And as a reminder, this is our weekly conversation with Michael Earley, brought to you by Duck Camp. Duck Camp, known for the best moments happening out there on the boat, casting a line, or hauling in the catch of the day. Be sure to check out the Duck Camp new spring hats, like the fan favorite crawfish hat and the redfish hat.
at duckcamp.com. With it, we go to the Buffy's Catering Hotline. We're joined by Michael Earley. Coach Earley, how you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
Good. How did you guys enjoy the spring game?
It was fun. It was fun. I mean, when you're around Brawny, you get a crowd of people following you, but other than that,
that's not even close to true. Hey, speaking of crowds of people, how did you feel like your guys managed Baum Walker Stadium? That's a place that A&M typically hasn't had much success. And you had, if I know you can't say it, but I can, you had a lot of things not go your way from an officiating standpoint. So how do you feel like your club managed just the atmosphere and then the in-game adversity as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think what we've done, this year, I think when we went into Tennessee, I completely, and I asked them if I completely oversold their atmosphere. No disrespect to them. It's just, wanted them to be prepared. And then going to Arkansas, I said, raise your hand if you think I oversold Tennessee. They all rose their hand. I said, that ain't going to be the case here. So just really not shying away from it, telling them what it's going to be. And, the whole goal was just to keep the place silent. I mean, when you're winning and you're in the lead, there's nothing better than hearing 14,000 people actually not say anything. So they did good. And then, stuff in game was interesting, right? I guess I need to sharpen up on the rules in all facets and including replay just to better understand. So I have a better idea because I clearly don't, but I'll just leave it at that.
And then just some of the in-game decision-making, specifically on the mound. Obviously, you knew you had a pretty good idea what you were going to get out of Weston Moss, but, what another massive outing for him to help you take game one. And then when you're going through a doubleheader like that and you know that somebody in that bullpen was going to have to get you big outs going into the day, where did you think it was going to be Lucas Jackson?
I knew he was going to be at some point first, and then or one of the guys. We went to Brad in game one, and Brad's last three outings he's been great, and Luke's last outing before this one was so, and the one before was good. So he knew it was going to be one of those two, and then managing a doubleheader is interesting, right? Just because you're always playing to win, but you got to kind of keep in mind, hey, you're down 6 or 7 on the road with 3 to go, and you got another one. It's just tough, right? It's tough, and I'm glad we rode Brad out a little bit and got Aiden in there, and then had Luke fresh for game 2. And man, what a great job by him. That was one of the better performances I've ever seen, and that stuff was absolutely electric. So we need to keep him on that track because that is a definite weapon.
Yeah. Speaking of stuff, I thought Ryan Prager, from just the naked eye watching it on TV and then what the radar gun was saying, it looked like the stuff once again took a step in the right direction back toward really the mean, what we know that he is. From your perspective, what do you think of Prager's outing, and was he indeed closer to what we've seen him be in the past?
Yeah, I think it was closer for sure. I think what hurt him, I think it was that really tough play actually, it wasn't a tough play. I was thinking of a different play, but the play in left field that hit the wall, that ball's got to be caught. I think that was the third, and then next batter was Homer. I think that changes everything in the outlook of his outing. Now, I'd like for him he was better at keeping his changeup down, but at the same time, it's just been he pitched well on it. That offense, that's one of the best offenses I've ever seen. Our guys pitching on the whole, Prager, they did a great job this weekend. Those first 2 hitters, that leadoff hitter is something else. And then the 2-hole hitter, that guy's a top 5 pick. So I thought he did a really good job. That was by far the best lineup we've seen this year. No question, one of the best I've ever seen. So I thought he pitched well, and I think he's trending in the right direction.
Coach Earley, what impressed you about the bounce back in the doubleheader? Obviously, it impressed all of us the way they responded, but what was the message maybe beforehand after having such a hot streak and having to regroup after that?
Yeah, it was a real quick. I think sometimes after we lose, they're kind of wondering what direction I'm going to go. And the direction was just hey, flush it, move on. We have it. If I told you right now, coming to the series, we got a chance to win the series. It's 1-1. You got a chance to win the series in game 3, and you get 2 days off. I'm like, would you take that all day? And they're all like, heck yeah, I would. I was like, let's get out here. I said, it's not going to be about playing baseball in a doubleheader like this. It's about what kind of energy can you come out? Can you come out with energy and not come out flat, and then get into the swing of the game? And I thought what a huge part of the game, probably overlooked because it was so early, but just Jace hitting that homer in the first. Like, we just got beat. They beat us pretty decent, and then Jace comes out and gives us a 1-0 lead, left on left. I thought that was just one of the bigger plays in the game, and it happened early on, but it kind of like, I thought, like a pitcher settles in, I thought it helped the offense kind of settle in and be like, okay, here we go.
Yeah, and offensively, I thought you guys were really good over the course of the weekend, especially against a pitching staff that, man, if you look at the average fastball velocity over the course of the weekend from Arkansas, it's going to be preposterous for a college staff. But you guys, they hung in there. And one of the things you fought early, Coach, was that you talked about, like, we're just not on any pitch. Like, we're not on the fastball. We're in between fastball and breaker. And it seems like y'all have gotten that ironed out a little bit after watching that weekend against all those big arms.
Yeah, I mean, those guys were the real deal. I mean, there's a lot of major leaguers on that field this weekend, and a few of them were on their pitching staff. So I thought we did a really good job on both sides of the ball, and then especially on the offensive side, just fighting and battling against really good arms. Like, they're gonna get their outs, but let's make them all tough and make them all productive. And I think most of them were. But yeah, I mean, they did a really good job, man. I was really proud of them, and it was just really about, we're just doing a better job. And when the ball's in the strike zone, we're doing damage on it. Like, simple as that. It's really just, if I showed you the analytics from earlier in the year to now, you'd be like, wow, they're relatively the same. It's just we're striking the ball better and doing it in better moments, and just playing, really about playing complementary baseball, like not having lulls in multiple areas, but when one area kind of takes a shot in the gut, the other one kind of picks it up, and just playing relatively clean and good baseball for 9 innings.
Well, and then let's go to the rain or weather delay on Friday in Game 2, and just you and your staff's thought processes about Luke Jackson. I think he went into that delay with 22 pitches thrown, that's manageable. Obviously, it took a toll on the Arkansas side. They have to make a pitching change, and then you guys come out, and Ben Royo, who was 0 for 11 with like 9 punchies going into the at-bat, runs the ball out of the yard. Yamal George backs it up with a double, and all of a sudden you guys are well on your way to some key insurance runs. Just I thought, obviously, bouncing back after the Game 1 loss on Friday was big, but then being able to manage that rain delay with you and your staff, just kind of take us through the decisions you guys made, and then what did y'all do with the club? Did y'all leave them alone? Did y'all talk to them? How'd that go?
Yeah, when it happened, I just told them, hey, we got a 30-minute halftime here, so just kind of chill out, stay ready to play. And with Luke, we were thankful there wasn't another lightning strike, because if you sit him down for an hour, I think that changes it a little bit. If there's multiple, it definitely changes it. So what we were able to do with him is he basically just treated it like 2 long innings. Like, he'd just come off the field, long inning. He stayed hot. He went down in the bullpen, and then came back. So he did a really good job, and those guys did a good job keeping him ready, and it clearly didn't phase him at all. And it was just really, our guys were in a really good headspace. It was just, I don't know how to explain it. They were pretty calm. Like, they were just like, all right, we'll wait, and then we'll go out and play. And for Royo, it was just like, man, he's like, get your swing off in the zone, man. Like, he's taking too many pitches early in the count that put him in situations, he didn't want to be. And I'm like, hey, man, that first strike you get, hammer it. Look for one pitch, one spot. And, all credit to him. Like, he did it, and it's really tough to do when you're having a tough weekend in a close game. So, and Ben's had a couple of those moments where, even against South Carolina, pretty tough game, but in that last inning, he drew a big walk. And then pretty tough weekend for him at Arkansas, but not, 7th inning when we needed something to get us going, he did it. So credit to him for staying locked in, even through some, adversity at the plate.
Coach Earley, I want to touch on something you mentioned in Game 3, getting that early lead, but also in all 3 games, you started off with the lead, and then in the 2 wins, you had 9th inning runs, right? So late inning insurance. Just trying to talk about the bookends of that.
Yeah, I love scoring in the first inning. I love it. It's just kind of makes you feel like you settle in, and especially on the road at a place like that, because that team's they're gonna come at you in some form or fashion, and then being able to add. When you could add, I think I'm not sure we did that did we do that on Thursday? I can't remember. It was a long weekend, but it was just adding late in games. That's that's been a challenge. I mean, not as of late, but that's what we've done. Like, hey, we're up 1 or 2. Well, now we're up 3, or now we're up 4. And on the road, you need that because, I mean, and especially against an offense like that and an environment like that, like those guys, those last 3 outs in the 9th inning, I don't know if there's no harder outs to get in baseball than those, and especially in college baseball. So any insurance you can get, and again, it's just like playing 9 innings. You never know when that winning run's going to be. It might be in the 1st, 6th, 7th, or 9th. But you just got to keep playing, and they did an outstanding job of that all weekend in front of a pretty wild crowd.
Coach, do you think that this weekend was a full display of what Jace Laviolette is and then can be? I mean, when you look at not only he hit a bunch of homers, yeah, we get that, but the guys that he hit them against, the direction, the flight of the baseball, how he defended in center field, how he ran the bases, was that the full body recipe of Jace Laviolette?
Yeah, it's funny with him, with Jace, like. Before that, it's just like, well, is Jace good? I'm like, Jace is hitting like 290 with double-digit homers and 450 on base and playing great defense. And then it's just like, let it play out. And you saw this weekend like that. If there's any questions about Jace handling anything, I mean, from a professional standpoint or from anyone, I think you saw it this weekend because there's not that environment, and the pitches that he hit home runs on and the pitchers he hit him off of that was major league stuff. And he showed what he's capable of and how he can not only take over a game, but really take over a weekend. And it's hard because, when you're him in the lineup, they're coming at you at their best stuff all the time. And he's done a really good job this year of taking his walks. And yeah, he's had some struggles, but everyone's going to have struggles. But he was on him. And, you look at a guy like him and Eloy on their team, and those are the 2 of the best players in college baseball and 2 guys that are going to be top 10 picks. And you can see just some stuff that they do is just different than everyone else.
Yeah, I want to ask you about 2 guys that back up Jace in the lineup. And Caden Sorrell, obviously getting him to play defense. How did he feel? I understand you not running him out there for the second 9 of that doubleheader just to be cautious. But how does Sorrell feel getting back on the field? And then I want to talk about Bear Harrison. And so he didn't slug like he's been slugging in the recent weeks. He didn't slug like that this weekend. But, man, that guy is starting to show some real hitter traits, backing up the ball the other way, sack flies the other way, big two-out RBI the other way. Like, there's some real hitterish traits coming now from Bear.
Yeah, I mean, with Sorrell, it was he'd been taking fly balls in the outfield for about a week and a half now. So kind of part of our progression. And then I said, after a game, I wanted to see how he was feeling on Friday. I said, before I made the lineup, I just wanted to watch him move around out there. And sure enough, like first ball actually hit by Bear, stays on one the other way, and Caden runs backwards and leaps and jumps. I'm like, all right, that's all I need to see. So having him out there it was good to have those lefties in the lineup, and we're going to need him to eventually play outfield full time, but want to continue to manage it. And that doubleheader actually made it work out perfect, just from a matchup standpoint, with a righty then a lefty, and it being the first game instead of the second game. But yeah, Sorrell is a special player and adds length to our lineup. And I mean, Bear has been phenomenal. And you're right. Like he didn't slug as much as he has been, but he still got on base, stayed on baseball, did what he was supposed to do. And again, for second time in 3 weeks, caught 18 innings and showed no signs of fatigue or anything at all. He told me, because we get later in the game, I'm like, you good? You need anything? He's like, Coach, I could catch 3 games today. So I was like, all right. So he's been great, man. He's been everything we could ask for, everything we could hope for, and just credit to him too for a slow start. But he never stopped grinding, never stopped working, and he looks like a real hitter up there. He's not just up there slugging. Like he's getting on base and doing little things, even when his swing's not feeling the best.
Coach Earley, we appreciate it. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you on Thursday.
All right, guys. See you. Thank you.
Michael Earley on the Buppy's Catering Hotline. We'll do more with Bronny on the other side. Right now, the Daily Company, they're a family-owned, licensed, and insurance business that wants to take care of all of your HVAC needs, your electrical, your plumbing, and your generator needs, available 24/7. HVAC thermostat repairs will take care of that. Refrigerant leaks, furnace failures, and seasonal tune-ups. Also on the plumbing side, you got leak repairs, clogged drains, water heater installation, maintenance to keep pipes in top shape. Also electrical wiring outlets and repairs, upgrades for safety and efficiency.
and generator repair, maintenance, and installation. They serve College Station, Houston, and Austin with upfront pricing and no surprises. You can contact them directly at 979-2060-2020. That's 979-260-2020. Or visit them online at godaily.com. Daily is spelled Dailey. GoDaily.com. Experience the daily difference.
What's up, TexAgs? This commercial break is brought to you by my good friends over at Aggieland Chevrolet, the official automotive sponsor of TexAgs.com and me, Billy Liucci. Greg Gunn is the proud owner of Aggieland Chevrolet and invites you to visit the dealership to experience true Aggie hospitality. From their friendly staff to the experienced service team, Aggieland Chevrolet is TexAgs approved. Check out the dealership off of Highway 6 in Bryan or go to AggielandChevrolet.com and tell them Billy Liucci sent you by.
All right, we're back here on TexAgs Live. If your wheels have been damaged by potholes, curbs, or medians, go see the experts at Brazos Valley Wheel Repair. Don't replace damaged rims, repair them. The experts at Brazos Valley Wheel Repair have over 2 decades of experience and are always going to make sure that your wheel is returned to perfectly safe working condition. The Road Force balance all wheels to make sure that you get the smoothest and safest ride possible. They have experience in repairing everything from minor curb rash and polishing to more complex jobs like bent or cracked rims. Don't let anyone else tell you that the wheels need to be replaced. Let the expert at Brazos Valley Wheel Repair give you a free evaluation and see you save hundreds of dollars. Brazos Valley Wheel Repair offers interest rate financing and offers first responders, active military, and veterans 10% discount with ID. High quality work, affordable pricing. That's Brazos Valley Wheel Repair. Find them at bvwheelrepair.com or in person at 508 Burnett Street in Bryan. Ryan Broniger is still with us.
Did you ever have 20-inch rims?
Nope.
You didn't? Mm-mm. I did.
You did?
On my first truck, it was a red F-150 single cab, and I gradually started putting new stuff on it. So when I got it, I put 2 10-inch subwoofers in the back.
I had the woofers.
Okay,
yeah.
I was 16. And then I put a new grill on the front, put drop shackles in it, and then the next thing I did was put 20-inch rims on it. But that was back in early 2000s. That was like...
That was the thing that...
Especially in that part of the state, like you wanted 20s. You wanted 20s. So I wonder if I could find a picture of that old truck.
I wasn't in the 20s community. I wasn't going to those meetings. That wasn't my thing. But I did the woofers.
They didn't have any meetings.
They had meetings, yeah. You just weren't invited, apparently. I got an invite. I just didn't go. I didn't RSVP.
Okay. A-Leaf David.
Anyway, I was in A-Leaf yesterday. Good old A-Leaf.
Yeah.
And with my brother-in-law and his son, my brother-in-law went to Texas. They wanted to ask about the series coming up. I'm like, I got to get through Sam Houston first, buddy. Then I'll focus on.
Yeah, and we're going to get a lot of questions, obviously, about what's going to happen this weekend in Austin. But for the kids and for the coaches, it has to be just like every other series you're going to play the rest of the year. And it goes back to the old saying in sports and in baseball, but you got to play the game with emotion, but you can't be emotional. And I think there's going to be a lot of emotional people walking into the ballpark wearing burnt orange and maroon this weekend. Yeah. But for the kids and the coaches, they got to go play, and you got to go play against a really good Texas team. And it'll be interesting to see. Their Friday night starter left the game last week, Jared Spencer. Now, what I heard, what went public post game from their coaching staff was that he was okay. That they were going to reevaluate, but he was going to be okay. I've been around the game a long time. When a kid throws a pitch 83 miles an hour, a fastball, and then exits right after, not a good sign. So we'll see how much truth there was in that. But regardless, whether he's available or not, I mean, they got plenty of talented options to fill that role. When you look at Ruger Riojas or Max Grubbs and some of these guys that have done such a great job for them out of the bullpen, they can move into a starter's role and probably not miss a beat. And they're playing confidently on offense. I think Troy Tulowitzki, their hitting coach, has done a fantastic job. And you look at some of the jumps that Rylan Galvan has made and Kimball Schuessler has made, and he's done a great job with Ethan Mendoza. And they've had to withstand an injury to Max Ballou, who was one of their best players and one of the top, a first round profile type of player. And they've done a great job of managing it. And that's one thing they can do, is they can manage the game of baseball without question. And so it's a huge challenge again for A&M. The good thing is now that you've won series in Knoxville and you've won series in Fayetteville, there's not one kid in that A&M clubhouse that doesn't believe they can't go over there and win that series.
Yep.
Big picture wise, I said going into the Arkansas series, I said if you went 3-3 over your next 6, you're feeling really, really good. Well, now they've taken 2 out of 3 on the road in Arkansas. So if you're able to go get 1 in Austin, you're still ahead of where you probably need to be to make the postseason. Now you go over there and you win that series, A&M's going to start there's going to be some real discussions about A&M. If you go win that series and you got LSU coming to your place, and LSU is another phenomenally talented roster. And I watched them twice on the weekend beat Bama. And they did it in all different kind of ways, all different kind of arms on the mound. Their offense is very functional. They got some power in the middle. LSU's going to come in here and they can beat you at home.
Yep.
I mean, Alabama beats you at home. Kentucky beats you at home. Why can't LSU? But similarly, on the flip side, the way A&M's playing now, they can go into Austin and win that series, no question. They can beat LSU at home. If the latter of those two things happen, if they win in Austin, they beat LSU, who's got the resume in terms of wins that A&M will have in the league?
Right.
I mean, that will be elite. And then you got Mizzou coming in. And the funny thing about Mizzou, they're 0-18 in the league. They're going to beat somebody. They are. Like, they're not going to go 0-30 in this league. They're going to win a couple of games from here to the end of the season. I'm convinced of that. You just hope it ain't against you.
Yeah, you hope it's not you.
So you have Mizzou, and then you're on the road at Georgia, who, Georgia just got swept by Vanderbilt. Like, Georgia's really powerful offensively, and they're very good in their ballpark, but they're not invincible either. I'm still on. Let's wait till the end of the season and evaluate everything.
Right.
No different than I was a month ago when things were going bad. You have to be consistent and maintain that when things are going good. So we're still in a key couple of weeks here. If now over the next 6 games, if you go 3-3, you're still in a great spot.
Right.
And then you got the final 2 series against Mizzou and Georgia. Can you win? Can you go 5-1 or 4-2 in those? And then you're, without a question, you're in the postseason. But the upside, the top end of your projections now with A&M, you're going, man.
Could they be a 2 seed?
Could they get into the host conversation? Because you look at what their RPI is going to be. If you win series, if you have series wins against Tennessee, Arkansas, Texas, LSU, and Georgia.
That's a long way away, but yeah.
Right. It's a lot of work to do, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. It's not out of the realm of discussion like it would have been a month ago.
Right.
Whenever you're going, man, is this team going to get to 10 conference wins?
Have you ever, and I assume the answer is no, seen a season with this much of a tidal wave, if you will, where you go from 1 to maybe you're Missouri? That's what it felt. There was a point where I was like, is this team Missouri? Right? When are they going to win? To now, I don't care where they go. They got a chance to win that series.
Yeah, and look, if you go back and really re-examine the first month and a half, 2 months of the season, whatever it was, you're going, all right, like we knew some of this stuff going in.
Yeah.
We knew as a first-year head coach. We said a lot that he's probably going to take some lumps. We don't know how they're going to happen, but they're going to take some lumps. We didn't know that it was going to come in the form of all that early in the season with the injuries. They ran into some really poor weather games. They didn't play well. They kicked the ball around defensively. So they had some controllables that were bad,
right,
and they had some uncontrollables that were bad and unfortunate. They were unlucky. They were also really poor. Like, there was a combination of that, and with a first-year head coach who never had to navigate anything like that. So I think it just took longer than we would have wanted, longer than the fan base wanted, longer than the team anticipated to settle in and find their footing, starting at the top and all the way down. And they're still battling some real injuries. Wyatt Hensler, nobody's talking about it. He's playing on a pretty bad quad and just gutting it out.
Yeah.
Hayden Schott's dealing with stuff. Caden McCoy's dealing with some stuff. They've missed Isaac Morton for how long? Ty Baker was a guy that had some promise in the offseason that we haven't seen in a long time due to injury. So, obviously Josh Stewart, Sadeo, I talked to a pro scout that thought Sadeo's injury was the biggest one. And, we don't even talk about it because he came into the year injured.
Right.
We knew he wasn't going to play. But you're seeing some sort of glimpse of what we thought the offense was going to look like since the return of Caden Sorrell. And then you imagine, it makes me sick to my stomach when they show the dugout and Gavin Grahovic's having to be in there and just be good teammate Gavin Grahovic and can't play. That's another – Coach Earley talked about the first-round talents, the professional baseball players that were on the field this past weekend in Fayetteville. And he talked about Jace Lavalette. He talked about Vahiva Aloy. Caden Sorrell is obviously one of those. But then A&M's got one sitting in their dugout that is of that level of player, and he's got to sit there and watch. So I'm actually hoping to get Gavin in this week to sit down and talk to him about how he's kind of processing this whole thing.
Talk to me, before I let you go, bullpen. I mean, the excellence of Weston Moss, Luke Jackson, and names that we knew, but this weekend was special.
Well, again, though, Weston has been incredible. One of the bigger stories of the season has been Weston Moss, especially in SEC play. But, with Luke Jackson, Clayton Freshcorn, Brad Rudis, Caden Wilson, Caden McCoy, you're just kind of riding some ups and downs. I'll tell you what, Aiden Sims came in and gave them an inning in that loss that you're going, okay.
Right.
Does that kid need more innings? He's clearly talented. I still think Gavin Lyons can give them something on the weekends. Now, I'm sure we'll see him maybe even start again against Sam like he did a couple weeks ago. But I do think that they're trying to carve out a role, and they just want to make sure that, with these freshmen, that you're getting innings in the SEC, like you kind of want to spoon feed them, right? Like you don't want to just throw them out there to the wolves and say, here you go, figure it out, because you can hurt his confidence in the short term and the long term if you do that. So, like, there are some intriguing options in the bullpen that I think they would like to go to more. We'll just see if the opportunities present themselves. But, you know, at some point, you are going to get incredible Ryan Prager. You're going to get incredible Justin Lampkin and incredible Miles Patton on a weekend. It's just going to happen. The odds say it's going to happen. When that happens, that will be your chance to use Weston Moss on Friday and then turn around and use him again on Sunday.
Yep.
We haven't seen A&M. First of all, they haven't needed to do that yet because of how they've played on Sundays. And then second of all, we've just not seen the starting pitching allow that to happen. It's mostly been because you have to go to him on Friday night.
Right.
And it's high leverage spots, and he's taking it to the end of the game. And you're certainly not going to take him off the mound with a chance to win. No way.
Yep. All right. Well, Bronny, thank you very much. Actually, you know, before I let you go, you were around Coach Earley a little bit. Just in my interactions with him, I feel like he has been the same throughout the hard times and the now, right? Obviously, there was a lot of weight on his shoulders during the hard times, but I feel like he's still kind of tackling it the same way.
Well, if you go back and you listen to those interviews whenever they were struggling, he just kept saying the same stuff. Like, I believe in these guys. We're better than this. I know we are. I know what kind of character we have in the clubhouse. I know what kind of culture we have on this team. And we've talked about it. Like the stuff they were screwing up early, they were playing poorly because they were playing the game of baseball poorly. To me, and I watch baseball and I intake it differently than everybody else. And I know when I look into a dugout and when I talk to the kids, if there's an issue, I never once got an issue with the dugout, the clubhouse, the culture of the team. I never thought that was the problem. It was just really executing in the batter's box, on the dirt, on the mound, just the baseball stuff. And so you know, if you're a coach, that there's still hope as long as I've got these guys engaged and dialed in. So he knew that if we can clean the baseball stuff up, we've got a chance to turn this thing around. And look, lo and behold, he was right. He just kept saying, I believe in these guys. I believe we're better players than what we're showing. And he was right.
Thank you, Bronny.
Yep.
Appreciate you. Right now, Rollo Insurance, your commercial insurance needs to deserve specialized attention, and that's what Rollo Insurance can do for all you business owners. They offer comprehensive consultation for businesses of all sizes with particular expertise in family-owned operations. Their independent agents provide objective guidance on liability, property, workers' comp, and specialized coverage. Every business faces unique risk, and they have specific liabilities to location to base hazards. And Rollo Insurance business specialists take time to understand the operations-specific vulnerabilities. What you need to do is reach out to them. They're local right here in College Station. They got 60 offices all around the great state of Texas, and they're all over the place. 888-44-ROLLO is the phone number. 888-44-ROLLO, or go to rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs. That's rolloinsurance.com/TexAgs.
As a reminder, the final segment of the program is brought to you by Double Dave's. That's at 10:50. But right now, caller number 12, 979-693-1150. We're going to hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave's. They've been serving Aggieland since 1984 with your favorite pizza and, of course, those world-famous pepperoni rolls. Reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com, and your favorites are on their way. Let's go to the Bumpy's Catering Hotline. That's where we find Tom Hart of the SEC Network. Tom, good morning, buddy.
David, how we doing today?
Buddy, we're actually 3 straight Mondays are pretty good. Like, baseball's good. I like our basketball direction. Our softball team is #1 in the country. Track and field's good. Like, women tennis is really good. We didn't win yesterday against Georgia, but overall, I'm in a good place, man.
That's great. What do you think, how much Maroon is going to get into the building at Dish Falk this weekend? Because I'm hearing rumors that there are a lot of tickets bought by Aggies when tickets were available back in, whenever they opened up. You think there's going to be a bunch of Aggies in there?
Yeah, I do. I think it's going to be a great A&M crowd there. And I also think, like, outside of it being #1 versus #2, right, this is maybe the next best scenario because you see – I think Texas is playing above what we all expected. We knew Schloss was going to get them figured out and be great at some point. But I think at #1 this early in the run, I don't think anybody had that on their bingo card. And then A&M, outside of a huge drop-off, which we all saw in real time happen, for them to battle back the way they have, to win against #1 and #2 in back-to-back series, well, with South Carolina in the middle, I think it just makes it for a really intriguing weekend for multiple reasons.
Yeah, I'm excited about the energy that's going to be in the building. I was at Reckling Park in 2014 when the Aggies and Horns met in the first major sport matchup. There may have been, I don't want to say a lesser sport, but, outside of the big three, there may have been another matchup in between after A&M had left. But that was the first one I felt that like really brought raw energy. There was an extra inning game. Rob Childress got ejected at one point. It came down to the final game of that regional. And there was a lot of this. I mean, there was a lot of this. There was a big strikeout of Casey Clemens, and there was horns down right in front of their dugout. And man, Ben McDonald and I called that regional, and I just remember the animosity and the thickness of the emotion in the building that day. And I'm excited to see what we get this weekend. And I'll be there with Chris Burke and Kyle Peterson for all 3 games. So I'm fired up about it. And I look at where A&M is now. I think that I'm having a hard time deciding which series win was more impressive. The Tennessee win, given what happened on Friday night on the first game of that series, right, to bounce back, that was really impressive, obviously. But I really think Arkansas is the best team in the league and maybe the best team in the country. And to go into that building and to get 2 out of 3 there, Laviolette's bat has come alive. I think it's amazing, and I think that would have been if A&M had kept its momentum from the offseason rankings. That still would have been a major series win to go into Arkansas and pull that off.
Yeah, I thought the same thing, Tom. To me, like #1 on the road, going to #2 Arkansas in that scenario, that's not an easy situation. We've seen top teams go down this year, and Arkansas is a team that plays so well at home. I'm going to follow that up with just what do you think about the job Coach Earley's done because of the adversity and all the questions about his job security early on? He's a rookie head coach. To be able to withstand the worst part and then still look ahead and like, I got all these top series ahead, and I'm looking down on the SEC standings to now win those 2 series. And now you're going to Texas, who, again, not #1 team in the country.
Yeah, there was a quiet confidence that probably belied what the record was last time I met with them, which was the Friday before that, the morning before that first Tennessee game. And the team was struggling at the time. And he said, listen, we believe in who we are. Like, we know what it is inside our building. We just have to execute. We've got the right guys, and obviously they needed to get healthier. And talking to coaches throughout the league, I asked multiple coaches in the last 2 weeks, like, what do you think it is with A&M? What is the key for this? How have they done it? And Caden Sorrell is the first guy they point to. That's such an emotional leader on the field. And these coaches know every roster. Like, they know what each other has. So I think it was always there. because I never sensed any panic. I sensed frustration, and the frustration that comes with, man, we didn't execute in this scenario, or we just got beat in this situation. But there was no panic, and I didn't sense, and I didn't see, and maybe it just didn't come in front of me, but I didn't see a lot of outside noise, and I didn't see any finger pointing. And I think that is, all of those are good signs to a team that, really wants to pull for each other, and they can get it done. They just needed to have one thing go their way, and it feels like the dam is burst, and now everything's flowing downhill.
Yeah, and I think we've gotten to a point, at least internally, that we feel like this is a postseason team, and obviously after winning these 3 series, but like they've done enough goodwill that over these next couple of more hard series, if you win a couple of these series, fantastic, you're ahead of the curve, but if not, you still put yourself in position to be in a postseason run.
And I will throw this out there, and I haven't done a deep dive on it yet, but the math is changing, and it's really changing overnight. We saw the results of it during the men's basketball season. Like, you have a league this large, and you have no more Pac-12, then you can throw out historical references. I mean, for Texas men's basketball to get in with 6 conference wins, 6 or 7, and to get 14 out of 16 in, that showed that the previous benchmarks, last year's benchmarks, throw them out the window. So everybody talks about, 13 conference wins, 13 SEC wins, that's the benchmark. I mean, in my opinion, forget about it. Like, throw that out the window. That fit when there was a fully functioning Pac-12, that fit when other leagues were strong and talent was dispersed throughout the entire country. All of the talent, outside of a couple of random exceptions, a Florida State shortstop here or Wake Forest pitcher there, most of the talent sits in the SEC. So I think there's a little bit more wiggle room than in years past when it comes down to the conference record. And A&M did a lot of favors for itself with the non-conference record. So nothing, we just passed the halfway point of the conference season, and there's a lot of ball to play. But yes, I think they're in a very good spot in that regard.
I don't know if he defended Nico, but Lane Kiffin did say there's 2 sides to that story. And when you think about Lane, like, I should have predicted, like, he's typically going to take a different approach than what the narrative is out there. And it's just, happens to be Tennessee, who he's got a lot of history with, Tom.
Well, he's been a very transactional head coach and less relationship driven. I'm not saying he's not a player's coach, I'm not saying that in a negative way, but he's been very upfront once the transfer portal became a way to build a roster. And he has said, we're going to go out and get guys. And if you're a running back, for example, great, have a great spring. I'm going to go get 2 more dudes as soon as the next portal opens. So it's your job to earn your job, and don't think I'm not going to continue to recruit over you. I mean, he even did that with quarterbacks a couple years ago. Like, I'm going to bring in a 3-year starter from Oklahoma State when I've got a dude already. All right, well, you better be ready to compete. And so I think Lane does look at it a little bit differently. It's a very new school approach versus old school. Feelings aren't hurt when coaches or players leave his program, because he might hurt your feelings by going to get somebody else to then show you the door. So I think that's kind of the big picture mentality that he has in that approach. Of course, there's 2 sides to everything, but there's also a right way to handle things and a wrong way. And we don't usually hear about, in the other sports, players or agents that handle it in the wrong way because they just don't get the attention like football does, but it happens all the time. We've seen it in baseball time and again, just as one example.
Tom, you ever work with Lee Corso?
No, I've been behind the scenes at game day and had a chance to, say hi, but I've never worked with him. But I talked to Herb Street about him, and one thing that stood out to me, this was a couple of years ago at the SEC championship game, and we're just talking about their general approach, not just in game day, but broadcasting approach in games. And he said, listen, Coach Corso taught me something my first year that I'll never forget. And that's the first letter in ESPN stands for entertainment. And we're in the entertainment business. We're not in the X's and O's business. We're not in the keeping coaches' jobs business. We're in the entertainment business. Like, it's our job first and foremost to entertain. And he has been an amazing entertainer since day one.
Tom, I appreciate it, man. Have a great day.
All right, thanks, Evan. See you.
Tom Hart on the Buppy's Catering Hotline. We'll hit a break. We'll come back with Around Aggieland here on TexAgs Live. Right now, Let's talk about Caldwell Country Chevrolet, Highway 21 in Caldwell, online at caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. Today's a fast-paced world, and Caldwell Country Chevrolet brings that car buying experience right to your fingertips. You can browse their constantly updated inventory where amazing deals change month to month. You can find that perfect match for exactly what you're looking for, calculate that trade-in value, even start the financing process, all from the comfort of your home or your office, or even, hopefully you're not doing it while you're driving. But more than just great deals, they're a proud supporter of Aggie Athletics and about being a part of this community. When you shop with them, you're supporting local business that gives back to this community. If you're ready to experience the difference, make the short drive and experience what so many of your neighbors are calling themselves the best Caldwell experience that there is. Remember, it's about a 15-minute drive, the edge of Bryan to the beginnings of Caldwell. Short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the great people at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell. Online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. Let's put a lot of information in a dryer and have it spit out on Around Aggieland, presented by Norman G. State Bank. I know, it's terrible. I know. Norman G. State Bank, rock solid banking. The website is normanggstatebank.com. We turn on the dryer. Sorry.
Good morning.
I was
Great
trying
jokes.
that as well. Hello, Kaylee. How are you?
Good. How are you?
What do you have for us on Around Aggieland?
Starting with football today, first time in a while, the 2025 Maroon and White game ended with the white team winning 19-7. Freshman Marco Jones was the talk of the game with 5 sacks and a total of 6 tackles for loss. Now moving on to the Diamond Sports, Baseball and softball won both of their series this weekend. Baseball took Game 1 versus number 2 Arkansas 7-4, and also Game 3 winning 9-2, as Jace hit 4 home runs and 7 RBIs to aid in these wins. This win marked the Aggies' 3rd consecutive SEC series win and their 9th win in the last 10 games. And despite a loss on Friday from A&M softball, they won their 5th consecutive SEC series after marking their 3rd doubleheader sweep of the season. On Thursday, they won Game 1 7-5 and Game 2 4-3 in 9 innings. And last thing, Texas A&M track and field won 12 of the possible 22 events at the Oregon Team Invitational. They added 5 all-time marks as well as 7 personal bests. And Deborah was one of the Aggie standout athletes as she broke the women's 1,500-meter school record on Saturday.
Very good stuff, Ms. Dreyer. Appreciate you very much.
Thank you.
Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Carter, always with a smile.
Thank you.
There's somebody else that we had on here. Who was it, Nick? Help me, remind me. He's not listening. That always had a smile. And I've said this.
What makes you think I'm not listening?
Oh, you're listening. Oh, you have the TV on.
Yeah.
Who did we have on?
No. I got my sweet new earbuds thanks to Josh. But anyways,
Oh,
continue.
he gave you
I'm sorry.
some. Good stuff. So who did we used to have on here at the Social Center that always smiled no matter what the situation?
It's
Oh,
Luke.
Luke. Okay. So, and I used to work with somebody at the TV station, I can't say this person's name, that would report from like a funeral or a murder scene and just like big smile on their face, but not that they were happy about it, but like, you are that person.
Thank you.
Can you report bad news with like a frown or no? Is it?
I can't. I'm trying to fight that urge. I can't. That's just how I am.
You're just a happy dude.
I'll take that.
Cartier, give me something before we hit a break.
214 number from Texas. He says, "Are we
Obviously.
Yep,
Sorry.
in Texas. Are we still in wait-and-see mode until after this weekend? I feel like this is baseball. I feel like this team can continue and go on a heater and be a top 16 national seed and host. We're playing like that preseason number 1 team. Why can't we go on a heater and win this series?"
Nick, help me out with this. I kind of enjoy wait and see because I can't take these emotional roller coaster swings of left to right. Like this season's already taken a lot out of me. I got extra grades from it. So I'd rather kind of continue doing this and act like I'm on the team even though I'm not on the team, Nick.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's the approach that they're taking going into Austin this weekend. Like, you just got to take it a game at a time and, keep building up. Those wins start stacking up when you do that.
But obviously, this team's in a much better position than they were 2 weeks ago, so you can believe that hope has been restored. And even if they lose a series, I don't lose all that hope. So, all right, we'll hit a break. We will come back with some SEC storylines, and then Billy Liucci. It's TexAgs Live. Trying to aid your sports knowledge here on TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. We'll call Billy up here shortly. But first, we're going to do Around the SEC, presented by Jack Sir. If you are looking to build your dream home on your lot, and the Jack Sir Group is going to help you navigate through that entire project from start to finish to make sure your home is perfectly suiting your lifestyle, preference, and budget to turn your dream home into a reality. Visit jaxsir.com. That's jaxsir.com. And with that, we have the Nick Savage. Nick, talk to me.
Yeah, well, what I got for you today, just a quick hitter, and we can talk about the, I guess, ramifications of it once we, get into it. But the Nico saga came to its end, I guess, at least the off-season part of it. He formally commits, I should say. There was smoke about him going to UCLA for a couple days, but he finally announced it on his Instagram or whatever that he's transferring to UCLA. And I simply ask you, David.
Why, Rollo?
Why? Yeah. I simply ask you, is that an upgrade for Nico or is that a downgrade?
Nick, what do you think I'm going to say?
It's a very obvious answer in my opinion. But
thank you.
Yeah.
Now, look, I don't know Nico. I can only read what people say, and I think there's smear campaigns out there on both sides and like this. And look, I don't know what's in somebody's head. If in his head, and again, we can only go based on what's out there. What's out there is, seems like he wanted more money and he was trying to hold Tennessee hostage. That's what it seems like. All right? I don't like making a blanket statement without having all the information and being involved in those conversations, but that's what it seems like. But I'm not in his head. Why would I, when I took the job at TexAgs, there were people like, why are you doing that, bro? And I'm like, I want to be in College Station. I want to work for a new wave of media. I want to work with Billy. Like, it made sense for my family and what I wanted. Is Nico that? I don't know, especially if he wants to be a pro, right? He's going to end up wherever they draft him. I don't like how you can hold a program hostage. If you're asking me if it's a better situation, if he wanted to be closer to family or to friends, whatever, like if he wanted to be on the West Coast, sure, I guess it could be better. Do I think UCLA has any chance of making the playoffs? I would say no, even with Nico, right? Their offense was horrendous. I know they changed their offensive coordinator. Maybe they'll be better. Who knows? I would say based on my very limited studying of UCLA situation, I think they're going to be bad, right? So there's that. And he wasn't that good. Right? It's not.
Yeah. Well, the craziest thing to me, if you're Nico, and who knows if he actually cares about this or not, but you go from Tennessee, right? And you look at Neyland Stadium, 110,000 every Saturday, one of the best environments in college football, and you're a superstar on campus. You're QB1, and you go to UCLA and you're playing in front of like 5,000 people. Yeah, you're playing in the Rose Bowl, but they don't sell that place out anymore. Like, I don't know how much UCLA students and alumni care. So that's wild to me that you would want to leave that behind. You know what I mean?
For a moment, too, let's think of it like this. There are some average quarterbacks to slightly above average making $3 to $4 million a year. I don't know how much. Have you seen what Nico's getting at UCLA? I'm assuming it's less than he was making at Tennessee.
I don't know if that number is out there yet, but this On3 article just says he was searching for a $4 million deal. His pre-existing one at Tennessee was $2.2 million.
Oh, 2.2. Yeah.
So I don't know if the official number has been put out there yet.
But let's talk about 2.2 to 4 million. Can we all agree that Carson Beck was an average quarterback at best?
Yes.
Nico, on a team that won 10 games, slightly above average is fair?
Yeah, sure.
I mean,
we'll
fair.
Go slightly above average.
Okay. Commanding $3 to $4 million. Think about that for a minute. Average. So if you have, like Arch has a long way to prove, right? If you have, like, who's the quarterback to use in this scenario? If you have a Bryce Young, I guess is the most recent really good college quarterback, right? C.J. Stroud.
Cam Ward.
But Cam Ward, all right, how about this? Excellent quarterback to win something of substance. Like Will Howard was good, wasn't great. J.J. McCarthy, winner, but I don't think he was the best player on the field, right? Like But whatever. Best player on the field, quarterback level, right? Like when we talk about that, like I don't know where the numbers begin, like who should be this or who should be that. But in my head, if Carson Beck is getting $4 million and Nico's getting $3 million and hoping for $4 million, then what do guys like that are going to be in the conversation for a Heisman Trophy? Now, maybe Nico does get there, but based on past results, the numbers just don't add up. They just don't. Cam Ward put up amazing numbers last year. Had he stayed another year of college football, then I could understand that conversation. Cam Ward also left his bowl game after he got what was it, a half, if even that? So, in my opinion, it's just all jacked. The whole situation is completely jacked. So, what other quarterback would come up in that dialogue, Carter? Billy, we're talking about like if Nico is demanding $3 to $4 million. I don't know what he's getting at UCLA, and Carson Beck got $4 million at Miami. Right? These are quarterbacks to me were average to slightly above average quarterbacks. So how about quarterbacks that actually won something of substance and were really, really good? Like what is their value, market value then? Right? Like if Bryce Young played in today, right? I know it's only a couple years, where he got his team to the playoffs, didn't win a national championship, but somebody of substance of that level, top 5 NFL pick type of credentials, right? Like what would they get? Because if average gets you $3 or $4 million, and I think average is being nice.
Average is being nice. Nico's not very good. I mean, he has a chance to be. His talent level there's a reason he was such a high recruit. There was a reason he had so much leverage early on. I think none of this makes sense, David.
No.
None of this makes sense, guys. So, like, when you try to apply too much logic,
it doesn't work.
Then you're the fool. I'm the fool. Like,
you're right.
The coach is the fool. I mean, none of this makes logical sense. And if you think about not just Josh Heupel, again, I think Heupel gets too much. He was getting too much national credit. Like, oh, they took a stand. There comes a point in time where it's just absolutely ridiculous, and it's not. You have to look at this kid and go, he's not that good, and just let him go. Yeah. Georgia did that even pre-NIL with the portal with Fields, where they just said, hey, we're going to go with the walk-on kid, a.k.a. Stetson Bennett, the mailman, who's going to win us 2 national titles. But we're going to let him go, and it's not going to be fun to watch that dude transfer and end up at Ohio State, another power program, but we're going to do it because this is just, it's ridiculous. At some point, you have to understand and cut bait and let the player walk. Well, Josh Heupel in Tennessee, credit them for doing that with Nico. I don't think it was a hard decision. It's about as hard as the Dallas Mavericks need to fire the other Nico. Mm-hmm. Of course, they don't seem to be able to do that or want to do that. Every college coach has to do that every year. Then they have to do it again in the spring. Like, Mike Elko will have to do that this spring. I don't know with who. There will be players that go in that have agreed to deals. They are going to want more money. Somebody's probably going to get more. And some are going to be told there's going to be like a cutoff line. Like, he can't ask for, if he comes in here and asks for one more penny, my answer is going to be, you need to go. If he comes in, we can't afford to lose him. We had a great spring. This is like, we're fragile at the position. We got to figure out how to make that one work. If this guy comes in, it could go either way.
Right.
We want to keep him, but there's a price point where it's not worth it. He's not an all-conference player. He's not a starter. He's not. Every coach has 85 guys, and you're all over the map with these players. Imagine being a college football coach right now at the end of spring. When you have backups coming in demanding more money, when you have guys that are going to play a ton that look at are monitoring reps in practice and getting their own heads, or they have people on the outside talking to them. Like 85 of them, every team. This is not a Nico issue. Nico and his camp were just so far out there in terms of self-awareness. They're so far gone in terms of, I think, greed and not seeing the big picture. You're a starting quarterback in the SEC and you left it. Ended up to take less money. That was never in their minds. That was just really poor, no foresight,
right?
No ability to kind of, get any sort of feel for the landscape. But that was like the most extreme version of this. But every team has a handful to a dozen to 2 dozen of these every single cycle of this portal. And it's crazy that that's where we're at in this. And I mean, to me, you're the fool if you pay a high school quarterback what Michigan did with Underwood, what Tennessee, all the promises they made Nico, what everybody made to Jaden Rashada, like all these things. If you do that, you're the fool. And if you get tricked by these agents that this is market, it's market, then you're the fool. Because imagine if Nico would have played well. Imagine if Nico beat Ohio State in the playoffs and threw for 350 and 4 touchdowns. And then the next round, he went and was it the next round they played? Did they play Texas? He went and beat Texas. And Tennessee was that team. How much do they have to pay Nico then?
That's exactly my point. Yeah.
Then he might be worth $4 million, and he's going to be asking you for $10 million.
Right.
And you're going to have to say, he's a great player. We can't pay $10 million, a third of our budget on one player. Therefore, we have to let our quarterback that took us to the national title game and average 360 a game in the playoffs, we have to let him go because we paid him too much at the beginning, and this is just insane. At least if another school comes in and offers, like Arch Manning isn't a good example. Give me another, who's the most talked about quarterback in the SEC this year outside of Arch? Lagway. Say Derek Lagway.
There you go.
DJ Lagway. If you go in there and if A&M offered DJ Lagway $4 million, he probably doesn't leave. Florida probably, I don't know what they're paying him, but they probably come up to make him want to stay. But if they offered him $8 million, Florida's got to say, we got to tap out.
See ya, yeah.
The problem is with some of these kids, when you pay them too much up front, but at least if A&M did that, Florida could go, there will reach a point where that Florida donor base, the fan base, Billy Napier and the coaching staff will say, that's just too much.
Yeah.
At least it has to do with something out of your control, which is some wild-ass spending program that's just going completely overboard. But if you pay too much off the rip and you get held hostage before the guy gets there out of high school and has even taken a practice rep, you're setting yourself up to not be able to hold. Like, either the guy stinks and you wasted a bunch of money, or if he's any good at all early, you're going to get held hostage for even more money, and it messes with the entire caliber of team you can put around them. So the quarterback position is, every position is a complete, volatile wild card every year. But the quarterback position is where you can really screw up the way everything's structured within your program. So you do have to be careful. And I think we're going to see this more and more as these prices get so out of control. And I will say, I think A&M has done a nice job with where Connor was his first 2 years, and where Marcel was last year when he was second or third string versus this year as a starter. I think they've done a nice job of finding that middle ground where the quarterback is, I would assume, I don't think there's anybody higher in the last 2 years than the quarterback, where the quarterback is in a good spot, but also it's not so much so where you're leveraged to where it's affecting the talent you can put around him. Yep. A&M was able to go out and get Casey Concepcion and Mario Craver, and they got Micah Hudson. No, Tech fans. They didn't. Micah Hudson did not get paid, and he certainly didn't get paid $800,000. But they went out and got 3 receivers in the portal that at the time they really wanted, and they were able to do that and get weapons around their quarterback because they don't have a quarterback that basically threatened to leave if he didn't get paid an unfair, unreasonable amount of money. And that's, I think that's as important as anything these days in college football. And by the way, it's why, say what you will, Texas got a great situation to have a quarterback with the family history of the Mannings, but also the name Manning. Yep. He's able to make so much money outside of the Texas budget, and it's legitimate. Even when we go in, I think, into this new revenue share, those deals are going to be deemed legitimate because he's got so much brand and star power. They're in actually a really fortunate situation for as long as he's there. Then they'll go back to normal where everyone else is. But like Bryce Underwood, $12 million,
stupid
for a quarterback, like. That for a high school quarterback, that's insane. But if they've got this Oracle person, was it Oracle, the wife who's married to the guy that runs, like, lucky them, to be able to just light that money on fire. I mean, a lot of these schools have one donor. Is it Haslam with Tennessee? It was the guy at Miami. Now that's gotten dicey. It's Phil Knight.
Texas Tech,
it's Michigan. It's Campbell at Tech. You have that one person that'll do it. It can completely change the game. And again, I think even those people will get sick of it.
Yeah.
Especially if their team's not performing, or like say if Bryce Underwood just comes back and asks for $18 million the next year after let's say he had a year like Marcel did. Like, oh, that's a promising first year as a starter. Ups and downs.
Right.
There's a lot of promise there. And goes back and asks for that, that's when people start getting soured on it. And that will happen too.
Yeah. We'll hit a break. Let's talk spring game on the other side. Right now, Milliken Reserve, farm-to-table community in College Station. They got homes, they got trails, they got farms, they got wide open spaces. And they have a mission to build a healthy community around nature. They've done so by respect for that native landscape and all the wildlife that you can find there with those 2,600 acres of open space and farms, 30 miles of trails. They want to connect families to nature and to each other. When you go there, just know it is a great time to connect with your loved ones and do the outdoor events that you love to do, like hiking, biking, canoeing, fishing, you name it, kayaking. They've got equestrian trails there as well. It's just a really great place to come together and enjoy it. And homeowners there sharing a legacy of conservation, which means generation after generation, you're coming back to that pristine countryside place. The website is millikenreserve.com. Again, that website, millikenreserve.com. Go check it out.
And we're back on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Billy Liucci with us here on the program. Billy, let's talk a little spring game. I thought, as typical spring games, not a lot to take away from what it's going to look like in the fall, other than for me, it was like I like putting my eyes on some of these guys in maroon and white colors, right? Like to be able to see the receivers, all the transfer, all the new guys, Marco Jones, everybody, right? It was nice to see Mario Craver make a couple plays. Just nice to see it in a competitive form, not in a game that A&M played last year against Mississippi State, like to see it at Kyle Field. That's kind of my takeaway. I got to see what some of these weapons look like.
Yeah, well, I mean, don't want to say we've been talking about it, but I have. I mean, I said from day one, I think Marco Jones will be a contender to start, and people saw it. You know, there's, it's sunshine, you know, like nobody, you can't say anything good, damn it. You can't say anything good in the spring, even though everyone should understand it is spring practice. It's not football games. You can't say anything good about baseball when they beat Tennessee and just be like cautiously hopeful, whatever you wanted to call it, just happy they didn't lose and get no hit 3 times. Can't do that, David. You can't. But I will. So, and if this wasn't live radio, I would, to everyone else, because that's just how I'm going to be. If you don't like it, stop listening, but you won't because you keep listening because you want to run social media, particularly the Longhorns right now. Marco Jones had a great spring game because he did what he's been doing all spring. And he's the athlete that he showed during off-season workouts before they even put pads on, where people were going, this guy will have a chance to come in and start at some point this year. I don't know if it's day one. They've got some nice defensive end. They've got a nice situation. There's a reason Cassius Howell was the #1 pick in the whole deal. And some of these guys, I think they did really nice work in the portal. And one of the guys I didn't talk about nearly enough this spring is Rylan Kennedy, who finished the year with so much promise last year. So they have dudes at M, and I think they're going to have it might not be like last year with Scorton and Stewart, and there's not going to be a first or second round pick in that group this year. Marco Jones has the potential to be that type of NFL high draft pick down the road. It's crazy to say about a guy that's one spring practice into his career, but you heard Elko sit right in this very chair and say, we thought he was the best DN prospect in the country per our evaluations. He's shown that. He showed it all spring, and he's got the veteran O-lineman talking. He's really tough to block. He's got the type frame that he's going to be able to do it against the run and pass. He'll be in every down, and he could be an absolute difference maker for that defense, and he's going to push the older guys this year. And look, before we go on, here's my one thing about the spring game. And I'm sure Elko's got his reasons. I've never asked him. I probably should. I'm curious, so I will. But I don't love the draft thing. I know it's fun. But if you're not going to try to pack 40,000 in, which no one's doing anymore, unless you just say, hey, they've had a long-ass spring. This is just more to give them something to have fun with the draft. And I get that. But it's not conducive to fireworks and I think really good offense and quarterback play.
Sure.
You were already without Armaje, Reed Adams, Trey Zune didn't suit up. So you're down 2 of your 5 starters, and then you split the offensive lines through a draft. They've got 12 linemen that we would talk about the 7 all the time. They've got at least 3, if not all 4 second-year guys that can play if they need to. So they've got 12 guys. If you took 2 out due to injury or whatever, they could field 2 low lines. But it's hodgepodge still. And then you put in a couple true freshmen, maybe a walk-on here or there that's earned it. It just is not conducive, I think, to have like a rhythmic, flowing offense and to where the quarterback has a clean pocket very often. So that's just me. But there was a lot to look at. There was a lot to, I think, kind of open people's eyes, particularly Marco. I would have said the same thing about the receiver position. People, and guess who else we've talked about a lot? Nate Burkacher.
Yeah, he looked
I hear
great.
people buzzing on him, right? Talked all spring, and even going back into the fall about Ashton Bethel-Roman. Casey Concepcion, from the minute he got here, so he's an NFL pick. He's an outstanding receiver. And Mario Craver, and you talked about, I heard you a little while ago, like it's a small sample size. It's not. He played a whole year in the SEC. He made big plays against Georgia, Texas A&M.
Yep.
And it's the same thing with Concepcion. You have a 2-year sample size of him. So, yeah, the small sample size would have been Micah Hudson, 6 catches, 8 catches, whatever it was. Those are not small sample sizes. And Ashton Bethel-Roman, not a small sample size. They've seen him all year. For a year plus a spring. Isaiah Williams made that great catch. He's kind of a wild card for me. Because if you remember I don't remember if it was spring or fall camp, I was really high on him based on just I'd see a little bit, but it was the buzz that he was creating. It was the how he had people talking. They were expecting him to be a freshman impact guy, and he got hurt in fall camp. And a lot of times when you're that young and you fall behind. My only negative, I've got 2 things at the receiver position. And I said this, and everybody, here it comes, here comes. Shut your asses up. There's a position that's improved. It's the wide receiver position. If you don't want to hear it, I'm sorry, it is. And but if you want to hear me, like keep it real, my concern is still a lack of like size out there. Again, I saw Jerome Miles this week, and he looks great. He is that size guy and was a 10-4 100-meter guy before his injury. And it's ACL guys are going to come back and be, I feel like half the NFL has torn an ACL at some point. But he is great size and elite speed. If he can fast track it, now you wish he would have been able to go through spring, because then I think you could have actually depended on a true freshman like that. But you saw it with Terry Bussey. It was a little slower in coming, and then he started to make some impact. But if he can fast track it, maybe he's that guy. I would still like to see them go find someone in the portal, and they were unable to get that size guy. The biggest thing was they were unable to keep Noah. If you put Noah Thomas with this current group, damn, I'd feel good. I would sit there and go, that could be one of the better groups in the SEC this year. That's that difference. My second thing is Terry Bussey missed most of the spring. Not like a carry over injury, more like a pull type thing. He needed those practices, in my opinion, because I think he will be a huge role in the offense this year. He'll be a key piece of the puzzle, and he's explosive. He's an explosive playmaker. Much like I think Craver and Concepcion are, but they need more and more of that. And just in terms of his development, a year ago at this time he was in high school. Last summer he was playing corner, and then he got thrown into the fire. So I would have liked to have seen him get the reps. But overall, that position on Saturday and throughout the spring was a real eye opener. And they need that. You've got to be able to hit big plays offensively. And I think they can in the running game with Moss and Owens leading the way, maybe even with a little Morrow in there. And for whatever reason, he's not the fastest dude out there, but Amari Daniels, one thing that dude will do is pop a big play here and there against good teams. So I think they got it in the running game, especially what you didn't see Saturdays when you start mixing in, Marcel Reed pulling it and going, which he hasn't done a lot of, but it's there. And if they're lethal in the ground game and he starts doing that, I think that's taken care of. We're going to see that. My issue is, can they get the big plays in the pass game? Because you can't just drive down the field for 4 quarters all game long and beat teams in this conference. You have to have playmakers on the perimeter, playmakers vertically down the field. I'm encouraged by A&M's ability, but what I see is the potential for them to do that this year. Right. And if they don't do that, you're looking at 8-4, 7-5 type season, or you're 7-5, 8-4 on the high end. If they do get big plays at the receiver spot in particular, to go with what I think I know with that O-line and ground game, then they're going to win those games that you might have where your defense is having a harder time stopping somebody and you can shoot it out. That's when you see A&M as one of these noticeably improved teams this year.
Obviously, I want to get to some baseball with you in a minute, but I do have a carryover topic from the first hour I want to bring up to you about Marcel. Right now, let's talk about farming and ranching families who think different. Heritage Films has got a new product you're going to be super excited to hear about, but Heritage Films created farm and ranch films. They document timber operations in Washington, cattle ranches in Texas, and agricultural legacies across Texas. They aren't simply documentaries, they're cinematic time capsules and capture unique relationships with your land. Whether you're thinking 20 years ahead or 100, Farm and Ranch Films is going to preserve the wisdom, work ethic, and value that makes agricultural families special. Your legacy does deserve this level of craftsmanship. Visit yourheritagefilm.com to get more information on it. Again, it's a brand new product that he's released. He's always talked about family ranches and family businesses, but this is kind of a different approach to it. It's this time capsule that you can look ahead and make sure that you keep your family's name ongoing. It is yourheritagefilm.com. Click on the Farm and Ranch tab or call 713-893-8341. It's Heritage Films.
And we're back, TexAgs Live, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Billy, one of the topics, and it's actually kind of two carryover topics. One from Friday with me and you, we're talking about Marcel, about how he put this team in position to win these games. And then the one I had this morning with Olin, and I just love to get your perspective on it. If Marcel doesn't take a huge step forward, and we all agree he has to take a step forward, right? Mm-hmm. But if he doesn't, if we get that level of Marcel, that level of Marcel still puts you in position to win 10 games last year.
Yeah.
So, yes, we want to see Marcel throw the ball downfield accurately, command the team, 1,000%. But that guy last year puts you in position, and if the defense takes the step that I expect them to take, I'm not projecting 10 wins. I'm just saying he put you on that path before. That level is good enough to win.
I thought he showed a lot of guts in that Arkansas game and just poise in the fourth quarter, and it didn't come easy for him or anyone on the offense. And he did a better job than Taylor Green did for Arkansas of just kind of holding it together and making plays. But you could have easily lost that game with that Marcel. Le'Veon Moss in the running game took over. You saw what happened with Auburn and South Carolina, where I do think he played winning football, but it was both those games included slow starts by the offense, of which he was a part of. Florida, they dominated. So, I don't think you're getting to 10. Even though you could have said Auburn and USC, I'm the one that's been saying that. Yep. He was defensive stops away from the entire SEC's opinion of him, I think, being different heading into. No one's got a bad opinion of him, but there would be so much more excitement around the league for what about that young A&M quarterback, Marcel Reed? Because he would have led them to 2 fourth-quarter wins. One at Auburn, one in a bowl game that a lot of people were watching because it was a standalone bowl with 2 named programs. But I don't think it's as simple as just going, let's just add 2 wins to that total. Couple things. Number one, they wouldn't have been playing USC had they beaten Auburn. Number 2, they would have played Texas twice, and I think that was Marcel's toughest game by far. I think that whole everything about that got to be a little bit big. Particularly, that was an elite defense. So I don't think we can just go, the way he played, if he does that this year, that should have been 10 wins last. I don't think it's like that. Yeah. But I do think if he makes, I don't say modest, that kind of if he takes some strides, if he slightly improves, or I don't say slightly, noticeable improvement, but I'm not talking about through the roof, breakout Marcel Reed season loading, which is possible. But if he didn't do that and he just stayed on a normal improvement trajectory and he did look better this spring than he did in the fall. And he did, and for every single person I've talked to, even the ones that would tell me otherwise, even what I saw out there, Marcel got noticeably better, but it's a consistent, in other words, there's still work to be done.
Yep.
No question about it. And that's primarily as a passer, but it's more so just the whole operation. When I say as a passer, but it's when to sit in the pocket versus, to sit in there, not bail too soon, but also when you got to go, don't take, just that feel of a guy that, again, you heard you guys talking 7-8 games as a starter, to keep that going, that improvement. So if he just stayed on that path, then yes, I think everything you're saying is true. If he doesn't get better, then I think the Aggies aren't going to win as many games as we want them to this year. He's got to get better. I think he is the wild card for this team, and that's a lot to put on him. But I know Marcel. I know him, I feel like, pretty well. I'm not worried about, there's a lot of pressure on this quarterback. He's an SEC quarterback who has started games at South Carolina at night, at Auburn at night, come in off the bench to beat LSU at Kyle Field, played against Texas. in front of 100-something thousand, and the first time those teams have played in 13 years, and then went in a bowl game in that giant venue against a college football blue blood in USC. He should be able to handle anything in terms of the mental, including expectations, including pressure to make a big jump from year 1 to year 2. My question is, he's the wild card. The reason I say that is, how big a jump does he make?
Yeah.
How big a jump? I fully expect and have seen noticeable improvement. That could be enough with the weapons we talk about, with the running game, with help at receiver and tight end, where I think the pass game weapons are night and day different. Really, what you lost is what off of last year's team? That, I think Moose could have a nice football career, but he was not a factor last fall, for a litany of reasons. I'm saying like all sides of it. Jade Walker made some plays.
Yeah, he did.
I thought he had a nice year.
Cyrus Allen.
Cyrus Allen got hurt, didn't do much. Jabri was a nice, pleasant surprise out of Troy. But the reality is, Noah's the big loss. You're getting your 2 Bussy. You're getting Ashton Bethel-Roman. You're getting Isaiah Williams. But you're getting an all-ACC performer in Casey Concepcion, an NFL receiver. You're getting a guy that had a nice freshman season for a bad football team in Mario Craver. You're adding Amari Niblack, who I think is one of the more interesting revelations this spring in terms of, again, you're not getting a blocker in terms of what you're getting in the passing game. And that's what we're talking about here. And then Nate Berkshire, and people didn't see Mike O'Reilly. Theo Malin-Orstrom now going into, he's a veteran that's had some nice moments and nice games. That, the weapons at Marcel's disposal in the passing game are going to be significantly better. I think you mentioned separation. I think those guys are going to give the quarterback better windows to throw to. For a young quarterback that might see, maybe sometimes he feels, he's going to be more likely to pull the trigger when you're this far out in front of me. Versus if I'm cutting that distance in half, maybe mentally he doesn't want to make that throw as a young QB. Now all of a sudden it's this much, that ball's coming out, and you're seeing more plays down the field. So the possibility is there for that big jump that kind of becomes this game changer. But even if he's just a gradual progression, I feel good about it. But I don't think same Marcel. I don't think they were that close to winning 10 last year. I think they were that close to winning 9. The Moss injury was a killer, dude.
It was.
And so was the Besantis injury. There's a reason Shanahan and Dewberry, we talk about NIL and where the cutoff is. They felt good enough about the Blake Ivy, Papa Afuas. I'm mentioning the inside guys. There's obviously the other 2 that signed last year, but I'm still Funk and Borden. They're more outside guys, but those they felt good enough about the guys behind them that they said, okay, you could go to Penn State. Okay, you can go to Alabama. Programs are better than A&M, but the Aggies didn't go out and necessarily put up a big fight for that because the price point got higher than the value. Chase Besantis, different story. Remember when he went in the portal? It was Ohio State, Tennessee, Penn State, LSU. Everybody and their dog wanted him. A&M was able to keep him. So losing him and Moss almost simultaneously was a damn killer.
Heck yeah,
and then Besantis came back, and I think he played a little against Auburn, but Texas was really his first game back. That's not the same Chase Besantis, not even close.
All right, we'll hit a break. We'll talk some baseball on the other side. Keeping water local. Water in Brazos and Robertson County are really being eyed by out-of-state interests, threatening our community's future. It's not just about the water that comes out of your tap. It's about the lifeblood of everything we call home here in town. I'd like for you to consider Keep Water Local, a group of neighbors fighting to protect what matters most. If you care about this community, it's not just about this water. It's about preserving the farms, the businesses, and the Aggie spirit that makes this place so special. Losing control of our water means losing our future. If you want to make a difference, it's real simple. What you need to do is go to keepwaterlocal.org. That's where you can get involved and you can keep our water right here where it belongs in the Brazos and Robertson counties. It is keepwaterlocal.org. Go check it out. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Live. We're presented by David Gardner, Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. In the closing minutes of TexAgs Live, we're going to talk a little Aggie baseball. If we go long, we'll do it on TexAgs.com with our overtime show brought to you by the Rogue Shop. Bill, we haven't talked baseball. We had a lot of football to get into, but obviously another incredible weekend for Aggie baseball and the resurgence. Jace Laviolette, 4 home runs, was a nightmare for Arkansas. Bullpen was great. They had fast starts. They had great finishes and 2 of the wins. Just another great weekend for Aggie baseball.
Well, I mean, let's start. I want to talk a lot of baseball. We'll probably run a segment over today. Let's do that on the other side.
Okay.
Before we go, because it's coming up in like 2 minutes, right?
Yeah, we have 2 minutes exactly.
A little bit of breaking news in A&M basketball released.
Frank Haith?
And I know some people saw him he was at soccer this weekend with a couple of the Aggie assistants. Frank Haith, I think that's a really interesting, fun, impressive assistant coach hire. I haven't checked can you all check his resume real quick? Frank Haith, Haith. I know, obviously.
18 years of experience as the Division I head coach, previous stints in Aggieland as an assistant coach
under
for Tony
Barone.
And he spent a couple seasons at the University of Texas. And let's see.
He's a really good recruiter there.
Yeah, who served as head coach at Miami for 7 seasons, 2004 to 11, Missouri for 3 years, and Tulsa for 8 years.
So Miami and Mizzou are the two noteworthy head coaching stops. At Texas, I believe he was there under Rick Barnes, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty positive that was under Barnes. I don't think that was under Shaka. Frank Haith's just been a name for a long time, and he's been known as a really strong recruiter for a long time. And I'm sure even as we sit here and speak today, Frank Haith has some connections to some prominent players, I would assume maybe in the portal. I like this staff, man. I like what they've done with this coaching staff. I think Bucky's hit the ground running in that regard, and I think you'll really see it pay off in this next, this first full recruiting cycle he does. But they're trying to get stuff done now, and they've got a big name coming in from Oklahoma this weekend or this week, like right now. They've got another big name. The Federico that's showing them interest, who had a nice game against A&M, the big man from Texas Tech. I think they're quietly, and like I said last week, undercover, going to produce a really nice roster for year one. It's not going to be what you're going to want moving, down the road, but for year one, I think they're going to do a really nice job. And again, it's just how much are people going to be willing to step up and support, and they've gotten some great support from a lot of really generous Aggies so far, but that's got to keep going. And it's like, okay, guys, if you want to be good next year and the year after, it's not like you walk in a year from now after they have an inadequate roster and really struggle and say, hey, let's fix this momentum, because I just don't think that's going to be the mindset. I think people's minds are going to be